Reincarnated was a swordsman clan that ruled over half the world. People born in this clan had strong bodies and exceptional talent. A clan which ruled the world with its exceptional martial arts. A world where all three actions, that is battle, plunder and possession, and justified by the survival of the fittest. That was the clan Jin Reincarnated was born into and was the youngest son of the Reincarnated clan. At the selection ritual which tells a child's future, he chose the patriarch's sword, making him the child that chose the fate of the patriarch. His father was intrigued about him choosing the sword. He thought that there will be only success and glory in his future. But his dreams were shattered when he figured out that he had no talent in swordmanship. Everyone would call him the disgrace, the dishonor of the Reincarnated clan. People called him the least talented Reincarnated ever. His brothers would tease him by pointing out that he is swinging the wooden sword without any talent aimlessly. They would further say that he will only use his special sword Barasada. His older brothers would continue to bully him and beat him just because he couldn't use a sword properly. But he thought with his hard work and dedication he will surely become better and will one day make his family acknowledge him. But all his efforts went in vain when at the age of 23 he was expelled from the clan and was now just a common man with no destination. That's when he found his master, and that's when he found out he indeed had a talent. The forbidden talent of the Reincarnated clan of magic. He then went on to learn more about this magic of his, and with the help of nature's mana and his master's teachings he was able to use his talent and strengthen his magic skills. As he was using a spell, a dark entity rose from behind him and said to him, "I'm Solderit, the king of all shadows, and that he has a contract for him." He removed all his curses, and Jin realized it was a curse that was suppressing his sword skills. He took out his sword and used it. That's when he realized that it felt very light, and if he infuses it with his magic he will be unstoppable. As he was contemplating all of this, he passes out. When he wakes up he finds himself stuck under rocks and dies. But he wakes up as his 1-year-old self at the sword selection menu and decides that in this life he will choose himself. Jin chooses the patriarch's sword and everyone is shocked to see this. His father orders to send him to the storm castle and everyone dismisses. 6 years later there's a huge storm at the castle. Jin is trying to get to a book on a shelf but couldn't reach it. He thinks that it's been 6 years and according to the rules of the house he has to stay in the castle for 10 years. A maid walks into his room and is shocked to find a dead bird lying there. His 2 older brothers, Daytona Reincarnated and Haytona Reincarnated, come out and say to her that it's unfortunate she found it and that it was meant for Jin. He sees the dead bird and thinks, how are they just 9 years old when they are literally murderers, and just to bother him they killed a bird. They continue to tease Jin and say to him that if he's gonna cry to see a dead bird and he shouldn't since it's ugly. Haytona then moves forward and tries to punch him, but he stops it with his spiritual power and says that he has been holding back just because they are his brothers. He then punches him and continues to beat both of them until they fall to the ground. Hearing the ruckus, their guardian knight, Khan, comes in and asks what's wrong. Jin replies that they fought each other and both fell on the ground, but Khan sensed his spiritual energy. Khan then proceeds to take both of them to the hospital, but Jin stops him and says they need to be taught a lesson as he buries the bird and leaves both of them under the heavy storm. Khan thinks that he should report about the spiritual energy to the king since it's forbidden in the Reincarnated clan. He asks for a horse and goes on towards the king's palace. Jin sees this and thinks that thanks to the contract with Solderit he was able to use his powers and his immunity from curses in this life also. Khan reaches the palace and tells the king about all of this. The king is worried and intrigued after hearing about this. He asks the knights to get ready as they will be going to visit the youngest son. 7 of the Reincarnated knights and 200 knights under them get ready as they set out to visit the youngest son. Dipus Reincarnated, the 4th successor of the Reincarnated, exclaims that why has their father summoned every knight to visit the Storm Palace? To which Mary Reincarnaded's 7th successor, replies that she doesn't know either, but since the Tona twins will arrive at the Storm Palace next year it will not be about them, and maybe their youngest brother is not that bad after all. Their elder sister Luna Reincarnated tells them to keep quiet and thinks that even they don't know what goes on in father's mind. A maid at the palace is very excited while she helps Jin get ready and says that Lord Patriarch is visiting him in person. Jin thinks to himself that Khan reported everything properly to father, but since he has a good personality he wouldn't have said magic but instead described what he had seen, and now father is coming to see this power personally. As Lord Patriarch reaches the palace everyone bows before him as he walks through and gets seated on the throne. He asks for the Tona brothers and they come before him. He asks them what was their mistake against their younger brother. The Tona brothers try to put all the blame on Jin and say that he started fighting them first, and that he used some kind of strange power. They call it magic and say that it is forbidden and that he should be punished. The king gets angry and says to them that they won't survive like that in the Reincarnated clan. He then asks for Jin. As he is walking to the throne, he thinks that his father Siron Runkandle is the coldest and most powerful man he has ever witnessed. He is the most powerful being and had reached the level of a demigod, the Genesis Knight. He was once a normal man, but when he reached the demigod level, all his emotions became cold, and now all he cares about is growth and prosperity of his clan. He then remembers his past life, and save for someone like his father, a son without any talent was just as good as nothing. He walks in front of the patriarch and bows down. His father asked him the same question, to which he replies that in Runkandle clan people receive what they give. The patriarch asks everyone to leave, and Mary thinks that her younger brother is useful since he passed the patriarch's test. He then asks Jin what strange power did he use, to which he replies that he doesn't know since it's not aura or mana, as he shows it to his father. The patriarch is shocked to see the power and realizes it's the power that the first patriarch used. He tells Jin that it's the spirit of the Barisada, and that power belongs to Soldarit, the god of shadows. He further tells him that the first patriarch, Sir Temer, had a contract with Soldarit and has been with the Runkandle clan since its foundation. But after Sir Temer died, he disappeared and now has appeared again through him. Jin asks him who is stronger, him or Soldarit. His father replies that since he hasn't fought any god, he doesn't know. Jin thinks that it's a fitting answer for the most powerful man alive. His father pats him on his head and says that it was a good question and he will surely look into the topic, and that it was useful that he visited him today. Before going, he asks him a final question, is what intent does he have with such a power? He replies that he wants to use it for his clan, but his father sees right through his lie and asks him honestly what he wants to do with his power, to which he replies that he wants to use it for himself. His father replies that he likes it and he will be keeping an eye on him from now onwards. Jin thinks that asking his father to use his power freely would have been too much, since he will be keeping surveillance of him. As they are leaving, Mary comes to him and gives him a box and says it's for you. She hands it over to the nanny and asks her to boil it properly and get strong fast. As Jin opens the box, he is surprised to find a heart of a phoenix. He thinks giving this to a 7-year-old kid. Sister Mary is not sane either. Mary Runkandle was the 7th flag bearer of the Runkandle clan and a 6-star knight, and was nicknamed Stormwind Mary. She also had a secret name, the Southern Region's Mad Woman. He wasn't surprised that such a battle-hungry sister would give it to him. The Heart of Phoenix increases tolerance to fire if eaten at a young age and helps in faster growth. Also, a 6-star knight needs it to summon its own phoenix. He thinks that maybe one day he will be able to summon a real phoenix with his own hands. As he is seated on the dining table, Gilly comes with the phoenix heart soup as the Tona brothers convince Jin to let them eat too. Jin asks for a favor in return and lets them eat it. The Tona brothers dig under the castle and ask each other why are they doing this, to which Daytona replies why does it matter since they got to eat the soup. As they're digging, a stone hits a capsule inside which there is a human. The Tona brothers return exhausted and all dirty, and Gilly is surprised to see them like this. Jin sees and welcomes them and says they returned before he expected. Daytona, annoyed, replies that they did what he asked them to and asks him to give them the soup. Jin says he left some for them by pointing to the table. They get excited but are disappointed to see that he has only left them a spoonful each. They exclaim that it is too little, to which Jin replies that he only said he will share and didn't specify the amount. He reaches where they were digging and is surprised to see that they had done their work properly. He tests the thickness of the wall and thinks a 1-star spell will be enough for it. As he was accumulating mana, he was getting frustrated because he couldn't use it on anything. So he smashes the wall with his spell and stands before a large gate. It's the Runkandle secret library. He realizes how he had not been able to visit in the past life, so it feels a bit strange. He remembers his big brother telling him that it requires a special activation phrase. That phrase was a child of Runkandle has come to console Murakan, and the gate thuds open. The Runkandle secret library held a collection of secret tomes of clans that the Runkandles brought down over the last 1,000 years. He thinks it's very big and only permitted flag bearers are allowed to come in there. But as he enters it, he is shocked to see the capsule with a human-like figure but with scales and asks himself what is it. He then realizes the phrase he said and thinks, is he the Black Dragon Murakan? He had heard that the Black Dragon Murakan lost to the first patriarch and fell into a deep slumber. He says there is no time to explore about it more and goes on to search for the tomes, but as he is walking away, its hand starts moving. He finds where the tomes are kept and picks up one of them. It turns out it is of the once powerful Kunjin clan. He thinks he will get caught, so he writes it in his notebook when suddenly Murakan comes behind him. He thinks since it's their clan's guardian dragon, he will be polite with him and maybe he will let him go. But hearing this, Murakan gets furious but realizes it's just a child. He tells Jin that he woke up by smelling the spiritual energy. When Jin tells him about his power, he is surprised and kind of annoyed. He then transforms into a dragon and tells Jin about a promise he made with Solderit to help the contractor of his powers. Muraken Mountain, where the Storm Palace sits, was named after this dragon, and the Black Dragon Muraken was a powerful being who ruled over this area for many years. However, he lost to the first Rungkandel Patriarch Temur Rungkandel. Jin thinks as per he had heard he was an enemy, but in reality Muraken was a companion and friend of the first Patriarch. The contractor of gods usually get a companion dragon, and now since Muraken is awake, will Jin also get his own companion dragon? He enters the library and hands a box over to Muraken and thinks since he is going to be with Muraken he should ask any questions in advance. It's been months since he woke up and Jin started visiting the library. He asks Muraken why did he fight with Temur, to which he replies he don't really remember because it was 1,000 years ago. He learnt one thing about Muraken is that he was crazy for strawberry pies. Muraken asks him what does he do when he comes to the library, to which Jin replies that he writes down the tomes since he cannot take them with him. He asks Jin if he understands what's written in it, to which he replies that he understands only 30%. Muraken tells him not to worry and he's doing great for his age, and others just scold him because they can't even do what he does. Jin replies that it's not the case with him since he is a Rungkandel, he needs to be the best, and he has 12 older siblings and also his mother and father whom he needs to surpass. Jin asks him if it was the first patriarch how much of the book would he have understood. Muraken thinks for a second then replies that he barely even read a sentence at his age. Jin is shocked to hear this. Muraken further tells him that he mostly gained his knowledge from real battles. He tells him that he also has his talent but not as much, to which Jin asks desperately does that mean he would never be as powerful as Temur. He replies that he is also the contractor of Solderit like Temur, and also he has the brain to study a book like that, and if he trains properly he might become as strong as him and even surpass him. He then continues to teach Jin a special skill called Spiritual Release. Somewhere distant Luna Rungkandel is cleaning her blade after killing a beast and says this area will take 4 months to clear, and asks her companion what do 9-year-old kids usually like. Half a year after meeting Muraken, the Tona brothers became 10 years old and left the Storm Castle. As for Jin, he became 9 years old, and on his birthday Luna decided to visit him. As Gilly was setting up the cake, Khan came in and says he is sorry to interrupt, but Luna Rungkandel was visiting him. Luna Rungkandel, the first flag bearer of the Rungkandel clan and a 9-star knight known as the White Whale Luna. Despite being the strongest among the Rungkandel siblings, she gave up her dream of becoming the patriarch and has stepped away from the Rungkandel's disgusting war of succession. She was truly a white whale that moves alone, to the point where she was more of a stranger than family to the siblings. Jin starts thinking if she came out of nowhere to visit the Storm Castle, did something big happen to the clan, or did she find out about the secret library? He greets Luna and Luna replies that he has grown a lot. He says that if she had told him before coming he would have worn something better and prepared better. Luna pats him on the head and says why does she need to give a notice before visiting his little brother. He seems a bit shocked by seeing her too close. She realizes this and says why is he uncomfortable, is he sick or something? Jin replies that he just is surprised by seeing her this close. Luna thinks it's Rungkandel custom for siblings to crush each other in order to get to the top, and perhaps he thinks that she has come to keep him in check. She gets down on one knee and tells him she wants to discuss something important and in private. He asks everyone to leave and they both get seated. She tells him that when father visited him his powers made all the other siblings pay attention to him, which means that the moment he leaves the castle they will be trying to keep him in check, but she doesn't want him to get caught between the family fight and miss out on happiness. Jin thinks that this might be the reason why she gave up on becoming the patriarch. He replies that he has no intention to get involved in all this. She tells him that she is not telling him this because she doesn't want competition but because he is her little brother. He replies that there's already been an assassination attempt. Hearing this, Luna becomes furious and asks him who was it. He says that he hasn't uncovered it yet. She hugs him and says that he has already fallen into the clan's filthy traps. Seeing her sad, Jin consoles her and she says that she shouldn't be talking about this on his birthday, and takes out a pendant from her pocket. She gives it to him and says whenever he is in a difficult situation he should just smash the stone on the pendant, and she will reach him. She leaves and Jin visits the library. Muraken is shocked to see the pendant and says that whoever gave it to him must be really important. He tells Jin that it is an item of the Demon King Orgel and it gives immunity from any magic below 5-star level. He has sensed Luna's energy and thinks she would have sensed him too. As she is leaving she realizes that Muraken's energy was not present there before, and no matter what Jin chooses to do she will always cheer him on. Jin had thought his time in the Storm Castle would be boring, but it turned out pretty helpful since he got recognition from his father. He met Muraken and also got to know a lot about his sister Luna. It's been 10 years and now he is leaving for the main Reincarnated house. As he is having a last training session with Khan, he tells Jin that it has been an honor to help him train and that he will make sure to provide him with the best training until the very end. As he is getting ready to leave, Gilly prepares his bags and puts his books inside it and says that now she won't be able to make strawberry pies at his command. That's when he remembers about Murakin. He visits him, asks him how is he gonna help him from now on since he is moving out of the castle. Murakin replies that he will create a duplicate of him from the shadows and follow him wherever he goes. He gives him some strawberry pies and a bottle of wine as a parting gift. As he moves outside the castle, two guardian knights, Jerome and Holtz, are there to escort him to the Garden of Swords. It's the main Reincarnated house where the patriarch lives. On 30th of October year 1790 he finally left for the Garden of Swords. As Jin and Gilly are traveling, the snow starts to get heavier and Gilly says they might have to stay in some village before it gets down. Suddenly the carriage is attacked by unknown men. Gilly grabs him into her arms to protect him. Gilly tells him not to worry as Jerome and Holtz are 7-star knights and there are 20 other knights and magicians, when suddenly Jin realizes something and tells Gilly to jump out of the carriage. She is surprised and asks him why, to which he replies that a guardian knight should be with him at all times, which means either they are traitors or fake. He also tells her that there might be a secret device in the carriage, that's why they should get out of there. Gilly understands and takes off her robe and her claw weapons and says that she will now protect him. They break out of the carriage and land on snow when Jin tells her to go where the two fake knights are and he wants to confirm something. She asks what does he want to confirm, to which he replies that the ones attacking might be their allies, otherwise they would have killed them the moment they came out of the carriage. A man in the distance shouts to his people to find Jin Reincarnated. Jin sees this and recognizes them as Yuta clan and the Black King mercenaries. The man comes to protect them and says that he is the vice captain of the 3rd Corps of the Black King mercenaries. Jin thinks that they are not traitors, and if they were really 7-star knights they would not be struggling against them. Gilly asks them what are their objectives and who they are, to which they reply that they won't tell them just like that. Jin orders Gilly to kill one of them and cut the arm of another. Gilly does as told and grabs him by the head and presents him before Jin. The man shouts glory to Zipfels and Jin realizes they're the Zipfel supporters. Zipfel in another clan that rules the other half of the world, and they aim for the peak of magic unlike the Reincarnated. They offered a humiliating covenant 1,000 years ago which sealed the Reincarnated's magic powers. Jin thinks that it should not be easy for them to fool a 7-star martial artist. Gilly, and could it be the work of the guy in glasses? Jin told Gilly to simply throw away the Zipfel followers since they weren't worth questioning. Jin had a feeling that something was strange no matter what. It's difficult to deceive a skilled martial artist like him who had 7 stars, and he suspected that something sinister was going on. Jin expressed gratitude to Mirka, the vice captain of the Black King mercenaries, for distracting the Zipfels. Jin assured that once they returned home, they would be generously rewarded. He asked Mirka to stay with them until then. The vice captain wondered about Jin. Even though he was a child of Reincarnated, this was his first time leaving the castle. Yet he seemed calm and dignified for a 10-year-old. Perhaps Jin's words about the era of Jin Reincarnated weren't just a child's fantasy. The vice captain instructed his team to be careful in their actions until they reached Reincarnated, and they headed towards Reincarnated's main house. Gilly asked if they should leave the imposters alive. Jin said it was fine as it would serve as a good example for the others. He reassured Gilly not to be upset about it. He mentioned that even the 9-star Knight Khan hadn't noticed, so it was understandable that she missed it. Jin also mentioned that teaching her the rules of escorting as a guardian knight wasn't a major issue. Gilly apologized to Jin and he thought to himself that she never changed. Reincarnated's nanny shares the same fate as the child she cares for. She was looked down upon in her past life because of him, as he had no talent. However, Gilly never blamed him for that. She was also exiled from Reincarnated along with him. She apologizes for not being able to serve him properly. He decides not to speak harshly to her and assures her that things are different now. He advises her to toughen up. Just as she starts to apologize, Jin intervenes and tells her not to blame herself. He explains that getting caught up in trivial matters like this could cause problems during future escorts. She promises to do her best from now on. As he contemplates further, Jin enters deep thought. He considers the high possibility that Bouvard Gaston interfered. Bouvard is a transformer who committed numerous transformation crimes, bringing chaos into the world. Even though Jin himself hasn't done anything to stand out, he worries that Bouvard's involvement could be troublesome. In his previous life, Jin was arrested by Vermont's special forces when he was 20 years old. He thinks that making Bouvard his ally might be useful, even though there's no reason to accept someone who once drew their sword against him. As Jin begins to drift off to sleep, a cat suddenly jumps onto him, waking him up. To his surprise, it's Muraken, who has transformed into a cat. Jin hadn't expected Muraken to take the form of a cat. He thought he might transform into a horseman or a guard. Muraken scolds Jin, stating they would have been caught if he had taken such forms. However, as Muraken moves, he loses his balance and accidentally bumps into the wall. Just then Gilly enters the room, visibly concerned, and immediately attacks Muraken upon hearing her name. Gilly was confused, but then Jin introduced Gilly to the man who turned out to be Rungkandal's guardian, a black dragon named Muraken. Gilly apologized for the confusion, and Muraken reassured her, saying she shouldn't worry because she's like his strawberry pie. Curious, Gilly asked why she was compared to a strawberry pie, and Muraken explained that he was the reason Jin had been asking for strawberry pie. He went on to explain everything to her. Gilly felt really happy that Jin was so talented, and then asked about a sound they heard earlier. Muraken explained that he had tripped and fallen. This made both of them wonder if they could trust Muraken. Later, Gilly met the Black King mercenaries and told them they would be paid fairly by Rungkandal's clan. The vice captain expressed excitement for Jin's future and mentioned his good experience. He asked Gilly why she had left the Macrawlin clan and joined Rungkandal as a nanny. Gilly said there wasn't a significant reason for the change. The vice captain apologized for his rudeness, and they bid farewell to each other. Jin and Gilly were waiting for the portal to activate. They noticed a Zipful entering the room, waiting for the portal as well. He made fun of Jin and Zipful, calling them pests. He attempted to pet a cat but ended up getting scratched on his hand. Despite his attempts to annoy them, Jin and Gilly didn't react. They realized that Rungkandal's youngest son was composed and level-headed. He introduced himself as Baradin. Zipful apologized for his earlier rude behavior, and Jin remembered that Baradin Zipful was a talented magician and a strong contender for future leadership of the Zipful clan. Jin was glad to see that Baradin wasn't foolish. Baradin asked why Jin thought he wasn't an idiot, and Jin explained that if they had taken his joke seriously and drawn their swords, he would have had to wander through Huffister City without any protection and might have even lost a couple of fingers. Baradin acknowledged the seriousness of the situation and cautioned Jin not to be hasty in cutting off fingers of other Zipfuls in the future, as it would only create problems for both clans. Jin made a lighthearted response, and they both shared a laugh. Jin inquired whether Baradin believed that their fathers Kalayark Zipful and Siron Rungkandal would get involved because of their childish fighting. Baradin agreed that it was unlikely and thanked Jin for the insight, promising to repay the favor someday. Jin jokingly requested the favor immediately, to remain quiet until he left. Baradin considered that Jin could have been a friend under different circumstances had it not been for their clan affiliations. He contemplated the idea of being Jin's eternal rival due to their different clan backgrounds. Baradin's guards seemed disappointed by his behavior, and Jin questioned why Baradin was acting so nonchalant after almost losing his fingers. He wondered if all Zipfuls were a bit eccentric. As the portal activated, Baradin remarked that he had a fun time and suggested they meet again. Jin expressed his desire to avoid such a meeting, wanting to part ways. Upon their arrival at Rungkandal's main house, the Rungkandal butler greeted Jin and welcomed him to the Rungkandal main house known as the Garden of Swords. Jin came back home after turning 10 years old. In the Garden of Swords, only those who have achieved greatly and contributed to the Rungkandals can place their swords. Jin was thinking that it had been his dream in his previous life to put his sword in the garden, but he had been weak and without talent before, unable to lead because he wasn't clever. He wondered why he had believed he could achieve something with hard work alone. In this life, he felt it would be meaningful to stay in this unpleasant place. Jin's entire family was waiting for him. When he entered, his mother Rosa Rungkandal welcomed him. His father noticed the cat and asked if he had found it on the street. Jin replied that he had adopted it. His father liked his answer, but his siblings were annoyed. His mother then asked for the cat's name, and Jin answered that it's called Nabai Rungkandal. His brother got upset, saying it's not right to give a lowly animal the Rungkandal name. However, his father told his brother to stop and asked Jin why he named the cat Rungkandal. Jin explained that even though it's a cat, it's the first animal he has adopted and its name should carry importance. His father questioned whether Jin understood the weight of the Rungkandal name, to which Jin confidently replied that he did. He added that if anyone were to harm Nabai, they would have to face consequences. His father remarked that Jin seemed skilled at making enemies and pointed out how his siblings were glaring at him. Jin responded that he also possessed a skill, the ability to defeat his enemies. His father was very pleased with his answer. 4 years later, Jin turned 14 and became a 2-star knight. After his training, Belif Schmitz, a cadet and guardian knight of Rungkandal, brought food to Jin. Jin remembered from his past life that Belop would soon face expulsion and lose his cadet status. Jin asked Belop if the food tasted good. Belop expressed gratitude to Runkendel for providing delicious food but rambled on extensively. Jin advised Belop to be concise and avoid rambling as it could lead others to look down on him. He encouraged Belop to take pride in being a knight cadet of Runkendel. Belop mentioned that he was currently at rock bottom and not even a 1-star knight, so he found it difficult to be proud. Jin explained that becoming a knight cadet was a challenging accomplishment, and that Belop was elite compared to other 13-year-olds. Belop agreed, and Jin privately wondered how Belop had fallen so far from being associated with the Heron clan, a different Swordmaster clan, to becoming a loyal follower of the Vermont Empire, and taking the path of a heartless mass killer. Jin felt saddened upon hearing that Belop had committed suicide in his past life. Jin resolved to look after Belop this time and prevent his expulsion. Jin reflected on his progress, noting that his spiritual energy release had reached 2 stars, his mana was at 4 stars, and his swordsmanship was at 2 stars as well. He anticipated achieving 3-star swordsmanship within 2 years if things went smoothly. He then joined his sister Luna for training. Luna instructed Jin to observe with his mind. Jin contemplated how he would need to find a way to adapt to this unfamiliar training method that he had never encountered before. Jin is getting ready to train with his sister Luna. He thinks that this technique is usually for knights with a rank of 7 stars or higher. However, Luna is teaching it to him even though he's just a 2-star knight. Despite this, he trusts her and believes she must have a reason for doing so. He feels that he will understand the training better in the future and focuses on it. When the training ends, Luna thinks that Jin always surpasses her expectations. He has incredible concentration and posture, which are unusual for a 2-star knight. She believes that with his potential he will realize his abilities soon. Jin arrives at the training ground where everyone seems tense. The reason for this tension is that the practice spar they're about to do will contribute significantly to their total score. A good score is crucial for becoming a guardian knight quickly. The instructor adds that today is also an important day for Jin. His mother Rosa Runkendel said that if Jin manages to defeat the top 10 fighters today, he can advance to the intermediate class a year early. Jin finds this to be good news. Jin notices that Belop is nervous again. He thinks that it's not a big deal as he will ensure that Belop doesn't get exiled. However, he wishes Belop would show some confidence. The instructor announces that the top 10 cadets will be facing Jin in a fight. They all begin their training, and Jin realizes that they're not too bad and speculates that they must have earned their cadet positions for a reason. After the training session concludes, Jin's fight commences. After defeating the first cadet, he notes that he now has a winning streak of 8, and only needs 2 more victories to add. To achieve this, he just has to focus on one opponent, Mesa Milcano. As their fight unfolds and they exchange blows, Jin perceives that Mesa has grown stronger since their last encounter. Jin believes he can still defeat her, but the challenge lies in the fact that after defeating Mesa he must overcome 8 more cadets. Mesa interprets Jin's reliance on simple attacks as a sign of him looking down on her. She responds with a fierce onslaught, but Jin manages to break her sword and emerge victorious. Mesa realizes that Jin exploited her weakness by repeatedly targeting the same spot. She admires him and acknowledges him as a true Runkendel, stating that she'll aim to win next time. As the next fight begins, Jin contemplates the difficulty of facing all 10 opponents in his current state. However, because he had previously dominated Mesa, he's successfully created the impression that he would lose if anyone challenged him one-on-one. After defeating the 10th cadet, Jin feels satisfied that his plan has worked. The instructor congratulates Jin and announces his early entry into the intermediate class for the following year. With 10 minutes remaining until lunchtime, Jin expresses his desire to spar with someone and challenges Belop. When Belop hesitates, Jin asserts that survival in Runkendel requires more initiative and calls him onto the stage to fight immediately. Jin further provokes Belop by suggesting that he'll crush him like a bug. Belop entered the arena wondering why Jin wanted to fight him. He considered that perhaps Jin aimed to help him improve, thinking he was too weak. Jin mentioned being tired from fighting 10 cadets before Belop, yet he believed he could still defeat him. This led to the challenge, as Jin rushed to attack. Belop defended and questioned Jin's motives. Jin, however, remained silent and continued attacking. Belop found himself getting beaten up and repeatedly asked Jin why he was doing this. Jin disregarded the question, expressing that their duel wasn't just for show. He emphasized that he could have defeated Belop right away but chose not to. Jin demanded Belop to get up and warned him about not expecting mercy next time. This angered Belop, leading him to unleash his aura ability, shocking everyone present. Jin ordered everyone to keep the aura ability a secret, leaving Belop curious about whether this was what young master wanted. Jin confirmed and encouraged Belop not to hold back. Bellop expressed that Jin should have fought him before the 10 cadets if he truly desired a real fight. This prompted Bellop to attack Jin aggressively, resulting in Jin's sword breaking. Jin was surprised by Bellop's level of skill, acknowledging that he had analyzed his opponents during previous duels, but had underestimated Bellop's abilities, especially his use of aura. Jin then grabbed Bellop and choked him, causing Bellop to question why Jin had stopped, thinking Jin wanted a genuine fight. Bellop inquired if Jin found enjoyment in toying with people. Jin denied finding pleasure in it and explained that he acted out of concern. Although Jin admitted knowing little about Bellop, he believed Bellop needed strength to survive in their challenging circumstances. Jin acknowledged Bellop's kindness but stressed the importance of becoming strong to protect those feelings. Jin apologized for being tough on Bellop. As food arrived, Bellop playfully told Jin to fetch his own meal for once. Jin agreed, adding that he would also collect his portion that day. Khan reported the matter to Jin's father, who responded with laughter, attributing the situation to Jin's creed. He believed that as Jin followed the path of a dominator, he would care for the weak. Jin's father then mentioned that he would need to test Jin's creed and presented him with his first mission. At the age of 15, Jin became a 3-star knight. During the initial break, cadets had the option to return home or engage in personal training. Upon entering the intermediate class, they were required to use real swords. Cadets thus placed orders for their first swords. Jin too needed to find a suitable sword from his clan's weapon vault. Jin's sister Luna took on the responsibility of choosing a sword for him. She suggested that he leave the task to her, given her better eye for selecting weapons. Jin agreed, confident that she would make a better choice. Luna surprised Jin with a large sword named Bale's Slaughterer, which she had used at his age. Luna inquired if he liked it, and while Jin appreciated her effort, he felt the sword wasn't quite the right fit. Luna assured Jin that her previous suggestion was just a joke, sensing his discomfort. She then presented an alternative option, Bradamante, the brother sword of Barasada. Jin happily accepted the choice, realizing that both Barasada and Bradamante were adept at utilizing spiritual energy. He also recognized that if he had chosen it himself, he might have faced opposition from his siblings. Jin expressed his gratitude to Luna for selecting the sword, even though his other siblings had wanted it. Returning to his room, Jin showed his new sword to Muraken, seeking his guidance. However, Muraken advised Jin to put the sword back, explaining that Jin still lacked proper control over his spiritual energy. Muraken asserted that 3 stars were just the minimum requirement, and Jin should aim for at least 5-star spiritual energy to wield the swords properly. Jin, however, expressed impatience and confidently stated that he could achieve 5-star spiritual energy by the end of the year. Illy entered the room and informed Jin that instructor Garen was looking for him. She explained that the instructor had requested Jin's personal presence to explain a plan involving maps. Jin thought to himself that the time had finally arrived for his first mission. He had also achieved a 3-star ranking in swordsmanship. However, he found it peculiar that he was required to leave immediately after the break, since he was about to meet with the instructor. Jin meets with Garen, who proceeded to explain that a mission had been designated for him and 9 other beginner-class cadets. The mission involved a scouting expedition near the territory of the White Wolf tribe. Jin found it odd that a beginner-class assignment was in such a challenging location. Moreover, the assignment had been given swiftly, and the cadets in his group were ranked in the lower half of the class. Notably, Bellop's grades were inconsistent. Jin began to suspect that someone might have orchestrated this situation intentionally. Jin realized that the recent fight he had with Bellop might have come to the attention of his father, who could be testing him through this mission. Regardless, Jin was determined to demonstrate unwavering commitment to his creed. Jin received his first mission, a spy assignment. The objective was to locate Sember Bil, the successor of the Jan Kingdom's Bil clan. Upon reaching the designated area, Jin issued orders for the search strategy. He contemplated that this mission seemed to be progressing more smoothly than anticipated, possibly because it was assigned by his father. He believed this assignment might not be a test, given the limitation that they could only explore up to the 13th zone due to the dangerous territory beyond inhabited by beastmen. Jin calculated that they could complete the task within 4 days by focusing on this region. However, Bellop suddenly arrived with urgent news. The 2nd Division had been ambushed. Jin swiftly commanded everyone to prepare to move. Bellop reported that one survivor had returned to camp, sharing details of the situation. As Jin reached the scene, a team member informed him that they had found bandages on the west side. Jin deduced that the enemies had likely fled to the west to escape another ambush. The team followed this lead, spotting the 2nd Division engaged in battle with the enemy. Seizing the opportunity, Jin's team launched a surprise attack and successfully cleared out the enemies. The 2nd Division members reported that the enemy had captured Mesa. Jin addressed one of the captives, offering a chance to spare their life in exchange for information. The captive revealed the name of their organization, Kanzilo, and pleaded for the safety of his family members. Jin recalled Kanzilo as a notorious terrorist group from his previous life responsible for heinous acts such as killing Jan's emperor and citizens. They referred to themselves as a revolutionary organization aspiring to make their own king the ruler of the world. Jin ordered his team members to return and report the situation while he resolved to rescue Mesa himself. He embarked on a mission to the enemy's lair hoping he would arrive in time. Jin acknowledged that there were 20 enemies who were skilled 4-star martial artists. He recognized that his top priorities were to rescue Mesa and avoid unnecessary confrontations. Jin pressed on toward the enemy's lair hoping he would reach it in time. Thoughts raced through his mind. 20 enemies, all 4-star martial artists. His priorities were clear: rescuing Mesa was paramount and avoiding confrontation was crucial. He tapped into his magic, using it to locate the enemies. Encountering 2 guards on his path to the enemy camp, Jin engaged them in a fight. The first guard attempted to attack with fire, but Jin's fire resistance proved effective. When the guard switched to ice, Jin shattered the spell and defeated him. Following traces of wheel marks, Jin tracked his way to the enemy's camp. Upon arrival, he ignited a fire using his abilities to create a distraction. As the enemy scrambled to extinguish the flames, their leader commanded them to find the one responsible. Seizing the opportunity, Jin emerged from the shadows and swiftly eliminated the boss. With the immediate threat neutralized, he focused on rescuing Mesa. Jin navigated his way inside a house. Within the house, he discovered a trapdoor leading to the basement. Descending through the trapdoor, he found Mesa tied up on the ground. Concerned for her safety, she questioned Jin's presence and warned him of the danger. Jin reassured Mesa, urging her not to worry. He inquired whether she was able to walk. As Jin tightly gripped Mesa and freed her, a sound caught his attention from outside. Mesa urged Jin to abandon her if the situation turned perilous, emphasizing that he was too valuable to risk. Jin sternly told her to save her strength and focused on getting them both out of danger. They made their way outside only to be confronted by a scene of carnage. Numerous lifeless bodies bore marks that hinted at the involvement of a beastman, unmistakably from a warrior tribe. Amidst the grim aftermath, they spotted a member of the White Wolf tribe. Mesa attempted to warn Jin and urged him to flee, but Jin took decisive action and rendered her unconscious. Facing the beastman, Jin claimed responsibility for the situation, revealing himself as Jin Runkandle, the son of Cyrus Runkandle. He inquired about the beastman's name, to which the creature exhibited excitement upon learning that he was conversing with a descendant of the Runkandle lineage. A few days before the mission at the Runkandle main house, Jin was attempting to activate Bradamante. Murakan intervened by kicking Jin and questioned whether he had a death wish. He warned Jin about the dangers of awakening Bradamante at his current level, cautioning that it could lead to spiritual energy congestion and even death. Jin acknowledged Murakan's warning and promised not to make the same mistake again. In the heat of battle against the beastman, the creature introduced himself as Quasito Truca, a warrior of the Truca tribe. He explained that members of the White Wolf tribe were born for battle and their average power level exceeded 6 stars. The tribe held a deep resentment towards the Runkandles due to a historical event. The first patriarch of the Runkandle family had slain Great Wolf Javier, a figure the Truca tribe had revered as their deity. Jin realized that escaping with Mesa was not a feasible option and made the decision to confront the beastman in battle. The fight ensued, with Jin immediately pushed back by a single attack from the formidable beast. Jin's thoughts turned to his sister's pendant, which held both magical and spiritual energy properties. However, he deemed the pendant inadequate for the current crisis. Resolute in his determination to overcome this challenge, Jin recognized that if he couldn't handle such a situation, he wouldn't be deserving of rising above others. Rejecting the use of magic, Jin opted to awaken the sword. As the confrontation intensified and the beastman threatened to sacrifice Jin at Javier's altar, Jin recalled the sensation of awakening the sword from a previous night. Drawing upon that memory, Jin focused his efforts and finally succeeded in awakening the sword. In a sudden surge of action, the sword in Jin's hand created a multitude of slashing movements that rained down upon the beastman. With awakened Bradamante in hand, Jin unleashed a powerful attack that cleaved the creature in two. However, the intensity of the battle left Jin grappling with spiritual energy congestion, which began to trigger a cascade of negative thoughts. Fueled by his resolve, he initiated a process of spiritual energy release. Through persistent effort, Jin managed to break free from the clutches of congestion. Jin's focus shifted toward the prospect of returning to the Runkandle estate. Yet as his thoughts settled on this course of action, a surprising revelation awaited him. Standing before him was none other than Semberville, the very individual they had been tirelessly searching for. The blonde boy confessed that his name is Semberville, and he is from the Gene Kingdom's Ville family. The boy took a calm down as Jin told him that he is Jin from the Reincarnated family and is here to save him. Sember told Jin how he followed his lover all the way as the person he followed looked exactly like her even though she died 2 years ago. Jin instantly realized that the culprit behind this must be Buber Gaston, who kidnapped him in order to get money. Sember was deep in gratitude as Jin rescued him. He promised him that he will help him any way possible if needed. Once Jin was back home, Gilly congratulated him for the success of his first mission. Nurakan got really angry as Jin used the shadow release despite of his warnings not to use it. He reminded him of the pendant his sister gave it to him, but Jin wanted to save it in case of a stronger opponent in future. Jin got curious how Nurakan knew that he used his shadow energy, to which he told him that his shadow energy level jumped from 3-star to 4 mid-star. Nurakan asked him not use it again as out of 10 people who release shadow energy, 9 of them die as they end up being overpowered by the energy. Anne and Mu Runkendall, Jin's cousins, were somewhat confused as they heard about the news of Jin defeating a white wolf all by his own. He wondered if the white wolf was too weak or something. When she asked the same question to Haytona and Daytona, they answered that it must be a fluke, but in reality, they knew that Jin is actually really powerful. They wondered what would happen when Jin will join their class. Anne agreed to give her slaves to the brothers so that they can show Jin his place. On the other hand, Jin couldn't stop wondering what it would take him to become someone at par to the Celestial Knight in the future, as he planned to win over the intermediate class using his brute strength. The Queen personally called Jin as he previously denied her offer to take her room. It is a special room that is only given to the Runkendall, who is somewhat deserving to handle the family later in his life. Jin was not at all interested in taking the room. He humbly declined the Queen's offer again. The Queen was impressed by her son. She was testing him this way as he knew that the moment he takes the room, he will be in target of all the brother and sisters who are not able to take the room. Jin gathered all the others who follow him and were also enrolled in the intermediate class. He told them to stay careful and wait for the moment when he will conquer the class. As it was the first day of the intermediate class, Zed Runkendall, an 8-star elder, told the other students about the newbie who joined the class. As they were all repeating the slogan of the class, Jin noticed the surrounding. His 2 brothers came to his notice and he was instantly able to realize that the brothers were getting support by Big Brother and Sister Anne. As the slogan repeating ended, he confidently went close to the cadet near them and sliced off his arm in one single swing. Everyone was shocked to see this. As the brothers asked him what he is doing, he simply told them that he felt a bloodthirst from the cadet. Jin then announced to all the other cadets that they can attack or ambush him anytime, but he won't be hesitating even a bit before cutting their arms out if he finds them having a grudge against him. The whole place went silent after Jin said so. Zed was also impressed to see what just happened in front of his eyes. He understood while they were trying to get his moral down, Jin just taught them a nice lesson. Zed asked Jin to come in front of him and explain his actions. He kept his sword right near his neck and warned him that if he doesn't like his answer, then he may even lose his head. Jin cleared that the way he has hazed the students in his presence made him feel like he was being attacked by the professor. The moment Jin said that, Z swinged his sword such that there was a small cut on his face. He asked him if he was unhappy about his way and if it was the reason of his commotion. He further suggested that if that was the case, Jin should have drawn his sword towards him instead of the student. Jin bluntly told the professor that he didn't draw his sword because he knows that he won't be able to win against him. Zed laughed it out as he realized that Jin is just like how a Runkendall would be. He told him that he is worthy of living within the Runkendall family and then notified the cadets not to forget this day. As the class got dismissed, the twin brothers were really sad as they knew that they lost against their brother, even though they had the support of their elder sisters. Jin silently approached them and advised them to choose their allies correctly, and even though they now think that their elder brother and sisters are stronger, that won't be same in the future. As Jin returned to his room, he told Gilly about the hierarchy war he has started and his assumption that the Tona brothers are being supported by their elder brothers and sisters. While the elder brothers can't directly attack Jin, they are flag bearers and may send Jin to a highly difficult task, such that he loses his life. But Jin was really calm and composed because he knew that if he was sent to a solo mission, he would get a nice opportunity, as well as he even has his cat along. In the next class, Z told him that afternoon classes they will be going through special training in the secret training ground that is only meant for the people who carry the blood of the Runkendall family. Z further told them about the swordsmanship of the Runkendall family and how it doesn't possess a fixed form because of the physical abilities possessed by the members. The professor gave the 3 brothers a steel ball each. There were steel fragments inside each of the steel ball. The name of the steel ball is the clear ball, and it makes sound depending on how you hit it. If it is tried slowly, it will make an unclear and disturbing sound. But in case it is straight in the right way, it will create a beautiful and clear sound. There is one more thing that can happen, which is that if you strike it too hard it will cause an explosion. The task was simply to strike it such that hit creates a nice sound every time it is strike. Z told the students that they are the first ones to not get hurt by the clear wall explosion after Luna. Jin instinctively asked how Luna's sister avoided the explosion, to which Professor told them that Luna did not evade the explosion and took it head-on, but she didn't get hurt at all. On the other hand, the headmaid directly informed the older sister about the attempt of assassination of Jin. They wondered if someone could go to search extend, as argument over succession with someone still in Storm Castle is prohibited, and it may cause them their lives as well. Sister was sure that Jin couldn't lie to them, and there was no way that he would make things up to harm the elder sisters or brother. The sister was a bit worried about Jin, as it was time when he would start feeling the mind's eye training effects. On the other hand, Jin was extremely tired from the clear stone training. With time he realized that it was not a training to control strength and sharpen his mind, but to increase the destructive power aura. Jin started to figure out how to complete this training slowly, as Professor Z was completely shocked by Jin's capabilities. He wondered if he would be able to break Luna's record. The Tuna brothers collapsed before the training could end. Professor Z was really frustrated to think that Jin is the youngest one. He wondered that if he would be 10 years older, he could have taken the family in his hands. The very next day, the intermediate training class received their first mission. While the first one was simple, the second one very difficult, and was given to Jin's party members. Everyone in the class taunted them that they won't be coming back alive. Mesa stopped the others from fighting and told them that they will prove themselves by completing this mission successfully. Next day, when the three brothers were again doing the clear ball training, one of the brothers by mistake threw the clear ball at Jin, but he didn't react much and just asked him to do it somewhere else. When the ball hit Jin, he felt the trajectory of the ball being drawn just like the training received from Sister Luna. While he was thinking to recreate the same feeling, Professor called him and the brothers. He informed the brothers that they have an event to attend, listening to which the brothers got really sad as well as started ranting about it. Professor further explained that they will meet all kinds of strong people and it would be interesting. Moving forward, he told Jin that his assignment is a VIP assassination, and the target is the Master of the Ice Palace's toy. The Ice Palace refers to the huge tower in the middle of the western sea of the continent. The Master of the Ice Palace refers to the tower's owner, who is also named as the Spider of the Abyss because of her strength and her merciless nature to her opponents. The person that is needed to be killed is Ulcaro Shander, and currently he is being escorted through the lawless zone of Mammoth. Both the brothers were shocked to hear Mammoth, as they knew that it was too dangerous, but Jin was all calm and composed. He didn't think much and told the professor that he will do it, which shocked everyone in the surroundings. The brothers still couldn't believe that this is happening, and they asked the professor again, but Zed told them that if Jin is fine with it, he has no issue. The Tona brothers suggested him to expose his real identity in case of a threat, as if they were worried about Jin, which surprised Jin a bit too. Jin asks them to make a definite decision about who are they going to support. It's either the older brothers and sisters or him. After 2 days, Jin bid his farewell to his team, who were also going to their own mission. He told them not to worry about him and just focus on their mission and make them promise that he will return all fine. On the other hand, Murakin told them that this body is the Great Black and must not get caught. Gilly wondered how the place will go all quiet for a while, as both Jin and Murakin are going to leave. Jin asked her to take a vacation and promised that he'll bring back some souvenir, after which Gilly wished him luck and Jin left the castle. Mammoth is the place which is known to gather the deadliest criminals in the world. It is also known as the Sanctuary of the Outlaws because of the energy that came from the terrible humans in their place. There was a huge ruckus in the club as Jin entered. Everyone's eyes were on him. Everyone wanted to check the new rookie as well as wondered who he is. As Jin reached near the bartender, one of the criminals stood up and tried to bully him. The moment he tried to attack Jin, he lost his life, while others in the club didn't even take the situation seriously and just laughed it off. Jin realized that his master was correct when he stated that if one wants to get a passing grade in this outlaw, he or she needs to show them a level of courage and skill. He thanked his old master from his previous life as he took the food from the bartender. Jin first asked him if he knows anyone by the name of Hester, but when the bartender denied, he asked him to recommend a place to stay. As per what the man said, Jin went to the inn in the west called Moonlight, where the king of Mammoth stays. According to all the observations made by Jin from the moment he entered the club, he somewhat knew that his target would be doing drugs in his room, waiting for the master of the Ice Palace to give him attention. The moment he entered inside the Moonlight Inn, he saw his target and the guards arguing with each other. The guards were not allowing him to take any more drugs, which was making him crazy as the situation started going out of control. One of the guards hit him once on his stomach, and he lost his consciousness. Jin, who was looking at all the scene from a distance, realized that each guard would be around 6-star or above. He started thinking of various ways by which he can kill the man, as he knew that poison won't be the right option. Suddenly, an idea stripped his mind and he made up the decision how to kill his target without getting caught by the guards. Another young lady was planning to kill the same guy as moving towards the moonlight, and a lightning struck the inn, destroying it from inside. Jin's plan was to terrorize the moonlight in from his room using magic. Once he will add on his 4-star shadow energy, he will gain the destructive force of stars, making the people around him think that a 6-star magician is attacking them. Nobody will believe that a 15-year boy can be a 6-star magician, and he will be out of any suspicion. He knew that using his shadow energy, he won't leave any trace, so nobody will have any reason to suspect him, as well as he will use the magic such as lightning or thunderbolt, which will come from outside. As Jin used his ability to struck the thunderbolt, Cirrus and Dorma, the captain of the hidden palace, stood outside the inn. As the guard told her that someone with high-level magic has showed upon his wrath on the inn, she told him instead that it may be an attack against the hidden palace, and went inside the inn to check it out. As they were about to enter, another huge thunderbolt strike the inn. The inn owner arrogantly told the people from the hidden palace that this must be because of them, as they killed Zipful magician. While they were having this conversation, another thunderbolt strikes the end. Cyril told her people that this must be the last thunderbolt, judging on the intensity of the attack. Jin was able to avoid any lethal attack with the help of the pendant. He could see that some people were alive, but started looking out for Alcaro. Cirrus suddenly approached Jin as she was surprised to see someone her age in such a place of Crook's Mammoth. Fortunately, she mistaken him as one of the victims who got caught up in the attack. She asked his men to find Alcaro, and if he is alive, just kill him. Jin realized as the man is already fitted to death, he does not need to go and check up on him. He kept his face hidden so that the girl doesn't remember it. She announced to the people that from now on, the inn will be under the hidden palace, and if someone tries to go against them, then they will be considered an enemy of the palace. One of the men shouted at her, saying that the mammoth has their own king, and they can't take over there. And just like that, but Cirrus didn't think even a minute and sliced off the man's head. She told them that they will be paid appropriately if the attacker wished their harm, but how will they pay the hidden palace if it is found that the attacker was against the inn? After that, looking at Jin, she asked him why he's so slow and he has not moved yet. Jin told her that he was really scared and he has also hurt his leg. Listening to it, she put ointment on his leg and told him that it is his honor to get first aid from her. She further told him that the can't repays her, but he should remember it as a good memory, and then left the inn. On the other hand, Jin was done with his fake personality and completed his mission without letting his disguise get caught. On the other hand, Jin's team of subordinates were able to cope up with their mission properly as they create the ox one by one, while everyone was getting happy, thinking that they will be able to get back to their academy alive. Mesa asks them not to let their guard down as anything can happen anytime. She wondered why the orcs that usually move in groups are moving around alone for easy picking, while in reality, the orcs were walking alone as Murakan specially threatened them to walk alone, and if they didn't, he would kill them. As Murakan was thinking if he should keep on doing such annoying things for Jin as well as was keeping a look on them, he suddenly felt a very strong presence near him. He instantly placed a shield around them and wondered that if Jin was there, he would have instantly noticed it. But his subordinates are just 3 stars. He came back to his dragon form and appeared in front of the object that released the presence. It was a cemetery giant relic. As well as, even though the dragons took care of them thousands of years ago, what are the giants who are supposed to protect the graves of dead gods doing here? Irrespective of the reason, Murakan released his shadow fire and burnt out the cemetery giant in just one blow. Murakan decided not to tell Jin about this, as he is not yet strong enough to fight with Zipfuls, but in the next 10 years, if he kept on growing at a similar speed, he may actually end up picking fights with them. On the other hand, Bouvard Gaston, the one who created the cemetery giant, cried loud to Vishikul. He told the panicking Bouvard that the giant fell in the middle of night and the one to defeat him was the Shadow Dragon himself. He further asked Bouvard to set up a meeting with the Zipfuls in the near future. Professor Zack was really impressed to see that Jin was able to complete his mission properly and return safely from Mammoth. Mesa and others congratulated Jin for his victory, while Jin did the same as well. The other students believed in the rumor that the inn got terrorized by some group and Jin got lucky. The one most annoyed by Jin's success was Kajin, the same man who got his hand cut on the first day by him. When one of them asked Kajin why he is just watching them as Jin is just a 4-star, he explained that he is a pure blood and has an upper hand against him. Suddenly, Jin approached them and told them that he heard everything. Jin told everyone that he is at a similar stage as them and is nowhere superior to them. He further called Kajin an eyesore, as even though he is a 5-star knight and one of the most skilled knights in the intermediate class, instead of fighting him he is doing his trash talking behind Jin's back. And just like that, a fight started between Jin and Kajin. Kajin attacks were really heavy, but it was nothing compared to the ones Jin has to fight in the future. Kajin was doing his best to show him that he is nowhere skilled enough to pick up a fight with him. While he was overwhelming Jin at first, slowly with time, Jin started recognizing the path of his attack. He realized that there are not many attacks that can be done by a 5-star swordsman, especially the one who is consumed by rage towards him. Jin finishes the fight in just 3 moves after that, shocking everyone in the class. Jin further cleared his doubt of thinking that he tricked him to think that he is a 4-star. Listening to the noise, the Tuna brothers rushed towards them and asked what's going on, but Jin didn't tell them anything and just left the place. Later, Kajin informed the big sisters that Jin is a 5-star aura user, even though they were not ready to believe it at first. Big sisters realized that this is their little brother not only bearing his fangs to them but the whole family. They decided that in the next mission of Jin, they will send some of their men with him so that they can form his grave there. Gilly reports that everyone is amazed by his achievements. Later, Jin points out that there have been only 3 individuals in history who have attained the rank of 5-star knight, namely the first patriarch, his sister Luna, and his father. This achievement is undoubtedly impressive, but it's making his siblings anxious. Particularly his brother Joshua, who is nominated as the next patriarch, feels threatened. Moreover, their father intends to visit soon, as he desires an heir other than Joshua due to his lifelong dissatisfaction with anyone except Luna. However, Luna declined the patriarch role, leading their father to consider Joshua as the solidified successor. With Jinna's arrival, the situation is poised to change. Consequently, their father plans to test Jinna once more, and a banquet is to be arranged to accommodate the numerous family visitors from around the world. As the time approaches for his father's arrival and the banquet, Jin advises Gilly to be prepared. Later, while Jin is in his room discussing the anticipated guests, his butler Pedro rushes in to inform him of a mission. The mission is located in the Kalin ruins, which are under Zippo's jurisdiction. Jin's mother is upset with her other children for assigning such a mission to the youngest sibling. Upon Jin's arrival, his mother announces that the mission has been cancelled and he won't be required to go to the Kalin ruins. When his sister tries to interject, their mother silences them. The sisters inquire why their mother is favoring the youngest sibling so much. In response, their mother asks whether any of them achieved the rank of a 5-star knight at the age of 15. She asserts that she would have protected them just the same if they had. Jin then tells his mother that he's genuinely interested in the mission his sisters gave him and he has no intention of backing down. Jin tells his mother that he actually likes the mission his sisters have assigned him and is determined not to give up. Despite his mother's continued attempts to dissuade him, Jin argues that if he were to back down now, the followers of their clan might perceive the hierarchy and power dynamics within the clan as weak. Furthermore, he believes that fighting his sisters at this point would surely result in his defeat. However, if he successfully completes the mission, he would prove himself against his sisters. His mother warns him about the dangers in the Kalin ruins, emphasizing that a misstep there could be fatal. Still, Jin remains resolute in his decision to go. He also asks his brothers for the swords they plan to turn in as a reward for his successful mission. Eventually, his mother agrees to this arrangement and dismisses everyone. She reflects on her earlier concern that Jin might follow Luna's path of stepping back from the succession war. However, she now sees Jin as distinct from Luna and believes that his father will be pleased with his progress. As Jin sets off for the mission, he is accompanied by his sister's followers. During the journey, Jin begins to suspect that they might betray him when the opportune moment arises. The Kalin ruins were once inhabited by several thousand natives who lived in tribes. The Zipful clan discovered the ruins, but their arrival led to the murder and enslavement of most of the natives. Presently, the Zipfuls control the Kalin ruins and treat the remaining natives as slaves. Their intense interest in the ruins stems from a hidden artifact known only to the Zipful clan. A courageous journalist uncovered the artifact's true nature, the Fountain of Mana. This artifact has the power to elevate anyone to the rank of a 7-star magician with just a gaze. The Zipful's obsession with the ruins and their willingness to compromise their reputation arises from their desire to obtain this artifact. Jin is aware that the Zipful clan will begin mass-producing magicians 10 years in the future. Determined to prevent this, Jin aims to secure the artifact before it falls into the hands of the Zipfuls. Before infiltrating the ruins, Jin provides his sister's followers with food laced with a sleeping medicine. He reveals his knowledge of their intention to betray him and advises them to rest as he plans to complete the mission alone. Jin swiftly attacks the front guards, incapacitating both of them instantly. As he opens the door, he encounters a detection magic circle. Deactivating it requires the use of blood from a normal person, which he extracts from the guards and spreads onto the circle. Surprisingly, the magic circle remains active. It dawns on him that the guards were not human as they transform into monsters. The battle commences, during which Jin manages to stab one monster in the abdomen. However, he is taken aback as the wound regenerates, revealing that these creatures are living golems. Amidst the fight, Jin realizes that the creation of living golems is a serious offense. It becomes evident that the Zipful clan has exploited the Kholin ruins as a laboratory to conduct such experiments. With this insight, Jin shifts his focus back to the battle. He notes that combating the golems isn't overly challenging given their speed is lower than that of a 4-star knight. Nevertheless, they persistently regenerate unless their core is destroyed. Jin identifies 3 core areas: the head, heart, and abdomen. He proceeds to pierce these 3 points, eventually locating the core. With precision, he eliminates the cores of the 2 golems, concluding the battle. Jin successfully eliminates the 2 golems but restrains his anger, recognizing that he must remain focused on completing his mission. He retrieves a piece of a living golem's heart as evidence and proceeds with his task, understanding that his current abilities are inadequate to resolve this issue. He encounters a protection spell in his path. Normally, breaking such spells requires significant effort when Jin is holding back. However, due to the deaths of the 2 living golems, the Zipful clan is compelled to keep the incident discreet. Thus, Jin decides to unleash his full power and launch an attack on the protection spell. Meanwhile, Jin's sister Luna is reprimanding her younger sisters who had sent Jin on such a dangerous mission. In the unspoken rules of the Succession War, flag bearers are supposed to face only other flag bearers in combat. The fact that the sisters violated this rule prompts Luna to criticize them for their lack of honor. One of the younger sisters questions why Luna is intervening in the Succession War when she had previously shown no interest in it. Luna responds that she wouldn't have interfered if her sisters had defeated Jin. However, since Jin has returned after successfully completing the mission at Kholin ruins, her sisters have effectively lost the flag bearer status. Luna asserts that this kind of situation has never occurred before, and she instructs her sisters to leave. She warns them not to underestimate Jin's lack of mercy. Luna's nanny enters the room and Luna inquires whether she has gathered information about the attempted assassination on Jin. The nanny reveals that the 2 younger sisters and other individuals like Mary Yona and the Tona twins are not suspects. This leaves young Master Joshua, young Master Dippus, young Master Ran, young Master Vigo, and young Lady Luncha as potential suspects. Considering the solid backgrounds of the 3 individuals aside from Vigo and Ran, Luna decides to postpone further investigation into this matter for the time being. Upon returning from completing his mission, Jin encounters Gilly, who is visibly concerned about him. He assures her of his strength and playfully mentions that he could even defeat her. Displaying the living golem's heart as proof to Muraken, Jin's superior triggers a concern in Muraken's mind. Given the recent occurrence involving the cemetery giant and now the living golem, Muraken begins to suspect that the Zipful clan might be involved in some questionable activities. He informs Jin that they need to allocate some time to visit the Kholin ruins and uncover the truth behind these developments. Jin feels reassured by Muraken's presence, believing that having him by his side will make dealing with this situation easier. He also contemplates the possibility of finally discovering the mirror artifact with Muraken's assistance. Jin engages in training with his uncle. His uncle informs him that he no longer needs to attend these training sessions as the Patriarch will speak with him in the upcoming week. This signals that it's time for Jin to transition into a provisional flag bearer role. This change requires him to leave the Runkendel in order to amass honor independently, working without the direct support of the clan. Jin reflects on the significance of this step, realizing that he is entering a phase where he must grow and act autonomously to become a true flag bearer. With a sense of determination, Jin embraces this opportunity to further strengthen himself. Jin's father is en route to the Runkendel main house, where he commends Jin for his remarkable accomplishments. He reminisces about how he instigated his siblings upon arriving at the Gardens of Swords. Despite their attempts to rein him in, Jin continued to grow stronger, amassing achievements. What intrigues him more is Jin's victory against a White Wolf tribesman in a one-on-one duel. Khan questions whether he truly believes Jin was capable of killing a White Wolf tribesman alone. The Patriarch confirms his belief but acknowledges that Jin wasn't entirely alone due to his extraordinary spiritual power. Upon arriving at the Garden of Swords, he spots the sword that Jin obtained from his brothers. He queries them about it, and they explain that it was to be given to Jin only if he succeeded in the Kholin ruins mission. Amused, the Patriarch instructs them to try and reclaim it from Jin. As Jin and his father await the commencement of the banquet, the patriarch notes that banquets are typically reserved for significant celebrations. He emphasizes how incredible Jin's achievements are leading to an increased attendance of 200 more individuals compared to the previous year's banquet. He attributes this growth to Jin's status as the sole Genesis Knight in the current era. He asserts that if he were to vanish, the attendees at the banquet would likely turn their backs on the Reincarnated clan. Jin acknowledges the truth in his father's words, recognizing that although Reincarnated and Zipfel are considered the greatest clans, the gap between them would widen dramatically should his father disappear. This could potentially lead to Zipfel's dominating, prompting Jin to express his intention to leave the clan if that transpires. He adds that if the next patriarch proves to be ineffective and unable to exploit the clan's strengths, he will not hesitate to depart and eventually seek revenge against the Zipfels. Jin's father is deeply impressed by his response, feeling that Jin's potential was a missed opportunity, and that he encapsulates the talents of Luna, the wild nature of Mary, and the fighting spirit of Diffus. He anticipates the thrill of seeing Jin alter the succession dynamics before his time is up. He instructs Jin to wait for a post-banquet conversation as he has something important to discuss. As Jin contemplates leaving the castle to become a flag bearer, a guard urgently arrives with news of an uninvited guest at the banquet. The unexpected attendee is the Zipfel family. Zipfel's second-in-command, Andre Zipfel, along with 4 other family members, arrives uninvited at the banquet. In response, the patriarch instructs his butler to inform Andre Zipfel to leave and only allow his immediate family members to enter. Jin's father inquires if his actions were overly harsh, to which Jin replies that it was not, but rather a refreshing approach. He explains that if Andre lets his emotions take control and departs with his family, he would be defying the patriarch's order to admit only his family, which goes against the rules of the Gardens of Sword. The patriarch confirms Jin's assessment, noting that if Andre disregards his command, he will arrive at his home with both legs missing. With the banquet underway, both Jin and his father enter the room. His father extends greetings to the assembled guests, attributing the gathering to the pride he feels in having a son to be proud of. The patriarch outlines the rules for the banquet, emphasizing that any disputes leading to fights will be resolved in the arena. The loser must yield and the victor should exhibit mercy, as it remains a banquet setting. Jin reflects that the attendees, being highly influential figures, are entangled in intricate connections. Even if they fight, the rules prevent them from killing each other, though they can inflict severe beatings to establish their official dominance. He regards this as an exceptionally unconventional clan. During the event, a man named Hooger displays rudeness towards Jin, justifying it as Jin being a junior in the martial artist community. Jin swiftly corrects him, highlighting that this implies Hooger's disrespect towards those seniors who treated Jin with more courtesy. He demands an apology from Hooger to both the senior and himself, prompting Hooger to comply before leaving. Jin's sister Luna enters the banquet and playfully chides Jin for unintentionally accumulating enemies. She suggests that he occasionally behave more like a typical youngster. Curious, she asks how Jin would have responded if Hooger had challenged him, given Hooger's 6-star status. Jin explains that since the patriarch and elders of the Tuko clan were observing, they would have intervened, relieving him of the need to fight. Luna is impressed with Jin's swift analysis of the situation. She congratulates him and departs, expressing her intention to dance with him once he's tall enough. She affectionately bumps her head against his, symbolizing her regard for him and the protective aura she casts. Huber, feeling envious, also yearns to bump heads with Luna. Soon after, Cirrus and Dorma of the Hidden Palace seeks a moment with Jin. He expresses his honor at meeting young Master Jin Reincarnated. Jin contemplates the Zipfels and finds it a bit bothersome that he must personally search for them. The young lady named Cirrus and Dorma approaches him, requesting a drink with the rising star of the Reincarnated clan. She introduces herself as Cirrus and Dorma from the Hidden Palace, expressing her honor in meeting him. Jin reciprocates, mentioning that the honor is his since she is the daughter of the master of the Hidden Palace. Curious about his martial prowess, Cirrus, who is around his age, inquires. She confesses her jealousy regarding the blessed physique of the Reincarnated, and Jin acknowledges this as a blessing. In turn, Jin praises the Hidden Palace's blessed lineage and advises her to value it. Cirrus agrees, acknowledging her unique position as the sole daughter. Abruptly, she questions why he was present at the Moonlit Well in Mammoth, insisting on an explanation. She reveals her frustration in not being able to locate the magic terrorist her subordinates were after. This hurt her pride as she believed the young man she released wasn't the actual culprit. Jin asks if she suspects him due to his Reincarnated affiliation and the clan's unforbidden magic. Cirrus clarifies that she doesn't consider him a culprit, but the situation changes if he was on a mission for Reincarnated and needed magical help. She mentions that the Hidden Palace members were potential targets, and as the captain of the Hidden Palace's 7 swords she can't ignore this. Cirrus challenges Jin to a duel. He responds that his father advised against fighting weaker opponents, but he has no choice but to accept her challenge. Jin instructs his companions to leave, keeping only the medics present. He requests 2 decent swords, and his men assure that the arena will be sealed until the duel concludes. Jin anticipates that battle enthusiasts and spectators might gather after midnight. He considers it cruel to fight her in such a scenario given her Hidden Palace lineage. As the crowd watches, Cirrus demands that Jin tells her the truth about what happened in Mammoth that day. Jin agrees under the condition that if he wins, they will pretend they never met. Cirrus senses he's hiding something. The fight begins with Jin launching an attack that Cirrus counters with her unique ability Myriad Ice Blades, a hallmark of the Hidden Palace lineage. Jin is surprised that Cirrus unveils her secret technique so early. He realizes that being the youngest, he hasn't yet mastered all of his clan's secret techniques. They exchange blows, with Cirrus analyzing his patterns. Despite Jin's 5-star status, he barely manages to block Cirrus's attacks. As they continue, Jin's true skills become evident to Cirrus. Cirrus realizes that the 1-star difference in their rankings can be overcome using the 3rd form of Myriad Ice Blades. With lower stamina and strength, she plans to defeat him when he counterattacks based on her patterns. Meanwhile, during the fight, Jin assesses that Cirrus, despite her Myriad Ice Blades ability, is still a 4-star knight. He predicts that she'll resort to her secret technique once she acknowledges the disparity. However, he's unsure of the potency of Myriad Ice Blade's 3rd form and whether he should respond with his own secret technique. In the midst of trying to recall the secret technique he learned at the castle, Jin is suddenly hit by an avalanche-like attack along with the 3rd form of Myriad Ice Blades. Cirrus's uneasiness grows, and both she and Jin tense as they witness a slashing ice attack heading toward her. Jin is taken aback and reflects that using something other than the Attila family's Storm Blade might have been wiser. He considers that this level of destructive force is overwhelming for a 4-star like Cirrus. If she hadn't evaded it, she could have been seriously injured or even killed. Jin worries for her, but then he sees Cirrus sitting on the ground holding her sword. She's shocked to realize she valued her life enough to dodge the attack. Jin apologizes to her for nearly causing her harm. He thinks that despite hearing his warning, Cirrus didn't attempt to evade the Storm Blade. He contemplates that pride and honor aside, Cirrus is still just a 15-year-old, and in the face of danger her instinct to survive prevailed. Jin advises her to avoid discussing this incident further. The next day, Jin notices fewer people compared to the previous day and realizes that duels are now open for spectators. He wonders how the party will commence. With fewer people around, he hopes to meet the Zipful family guests given their similar ages. Jin anticipates asking about Colin and investigating the Fountain of Mana with Murakin's assistance. He's determined to prevent the creation of mass-produced magicians by the Zipful family this time. Unexpectedly, Cirrus notices a cat at the Reincarnated banquet and begins playing with it. Jin informs her that the cat's name is Butterfly Reincarnated. She questions if he named the cat. A boy appears, excited to finally meet Jin Reincarnated. He followed the cat to find Jin, whom he had been searching for. Jin struggles to recognize the boy, who drops a hint that his name starts with V as Cirrus finds the situation strange and departs with the cat. The boy provides another clue. Their initial meeting occurred at the Middle Kingdom teleportation gate. This prompts Jin to recognize the boy as Veridin Zipful. Jin finds it hard to believe he forgot Veridin, who expresses disappointment over not being recognized despite thinking of Jin daily. Veridin provides more hints and reveals his identity. Jin pretends not to remember Veridin, wondering how he became a 9-star magician at age 30, and the future patriarch of the Zipful family. Veridin remarks that 5 years have passed and he's amazed by Jin's progress as a 5-star. He proudly states he's now a 6-star magician, superior to Jin in swordsmanship. Jin is astonished by this, as he expected Veridin to be a higher rank and assumes Veridin is lying. Veridin proposes that Jin visit an unannounced Zipful banquet someday. Jin jests about the potential consequences, and Veridin assures him that he wouldn't harm Jin even if a fight ensued. Veridin's words alarm Jin, who then calls Buber over. Buber asks when Lady Luna will arrive, surprising Jin. Buber hands Jin a book of poetry he composed overnight filled with his affection. He believes it will show Luna that he's a better man than he appears. Bubert implies he might become Jin's brother-in-law, leading Veridin to spit out his drink in shock. This angers Jin and he scolds Bubert for using his sister's name and jokingly suggesting such a relationship. Jin orders his men to take Bubert to the arena. The man present protests, saying this isn't how guests should be treated. He explains that Bubert expressed his feelings for Lady Luna. Jin insists they settle the matter through a hand-to-hand fight. Bubert suspects that Jin has discovered that he was responsible for transforming the Zipful individuals 5 years ago. The brother and sister notice the brewing duel between Bubert and young Master Jin. The sister becomes excited, but the brother becomes angry and urges his sister Margiela to move closer. Cirrus observes this and Veridin wonders why Bubert is fighting with someone like Jin. Veridin thinks that pestering his uncle was a good choice as it led him to meet the heir of the Ice Palace. As Veridin prepares to introduce himself to Cirrus, she dismisses him. Veridin remarks that he hasn't seen Jin before and considers him to resemble a secluded master. He shares that he's heard Jin is associated with the Ibriano family's group and speculates that despite his appearance, Jin might be skilled in combat. Bubert asks Jin to formally introduce himself before the fight, but Jin attacks Bubert as he is about to do so. Jin observes Bubert's aura and concludes that he's a 6-star. Cirrus notices that Jin is fighting someone stronger and that Bubert is more focused on combat. Veridin appreciates Jin's fight as he sees him launching a series of attacks while taking advantage of Bubert's lowered guard. Observing this, Margiela tells her brother that she doesn't understand Jin's actions. She finds it unjust for Jin to continue attacking Bubert after already winning the duel. She questions her brother's intention to simply watch as their friend is picked on. Her brother asserts that he isn't weaker than young Master Jin, but Margiela expresses disappointment in him. She encourages her brother to teach Jin a lesson in a more honorable manner than Jin's approach. The others urge him to listen to his sister and challenge Jin. Her brother addresses Jin, suggesting they fight. Jin realizes that the challenger is Bishkul Ibriano, a 7-star knight. Jin acknowledges that regardless of the outcome, this fight offers benefits for him. He finds Margiela Ibriano amusing for putting her brother in a tight spot just to watch the fight unfold. Jin understands Bishkul's affection for his sister as he has a sister too. However, he advises Bishkul to keep his companions quiet. Bishkul corrects Jin, revealing that the beaten man wasn't their servant but their companion. Bubert Gaston had come to assist Margiela, who struggles to move. Bishkul assures Jin that Bubert had no ill intent and asks for his understanding. Jin realizes that Bubert Gaston was the transformation sorcerer and wonders about his relationship with Bishkul Ibriano. Veridin overhears the observers and thinks they misunderstand. He believes that Runkendel individuals shine in such situations. If the Ibriano family's swordsmanship is a sly snake, then the Runkendel family's swordsmanship is a charging rhinoceros that won't be halted even if its horn breaks. Jin suspects that Bishkul is holding back in their duel, but he also acknowledges that he's putting up a decent fight against someone beyond the 7th star. Jin gradually nears his limits but senses the same phenomenon as before. Bishkul commends Jin for the fight and launches a full power attack. Jin's sword breaks as he attempts to counter. Bishkul receives a cut to the neck and the victor is declared as Bishkul Ibriano. Bishkul attacks Jin, who is focusing his energies while standing stationary during their combat. Bishkul shatters Jin's blade into fragments with considerable force and halts his swing just before his neck. The energy renders Jin unconscious, giving the victory to Bishkul, but he feels something on his neck and discovers a little cut. He considers what it was as he looks at Jin, who recently awoken the heart sword during their conflict. If Bishkul hadn't reacted in the 10th of a second, Jin's heart blade might have beheaded him. Jin awakens displeased and perplexed to find himself in his room. When Jin inquires Gilly about his sleep duration, he learns that he slept non-stop for 2 days. Gilly tells him that everyone has been talking about his duel with Bishkul for the past 2 days. He reflects on his training with Sister Luna, which enabled him to get to where he is today, and considers his special abilities, which only come into play in dire circumstances. Jin considers the benefits he has acquired rather than fretting about missing the banquet. Developing a loose connection with the Ice Palace's heir, he also learned that Bubert Gaston and Bishkul are acquainted with one another. Gilly puts some white flowers on the table as Jin is deep in concentration, informing Jin that the heir to the Ice Palace left them for him and making Jin wonder if she likes him. Jin corrects her, saying that the flowers represent an endless battle. Gilly says his father has told him to meet with him. Jin enters the dimly lit hallway where he finds his father waiting for him. His father asked him whether he knew the location. Jin informs him about the mausoleum, which served as the final resting place for the Runkendel family heroes who had spent years defending it. His father inquires as to his knowledge of Temur Rungkandel and the fact that he is not interred there. Jin responds that he is aware that he is not interred in the Garden of Swords. The Rungkandel family struck a contract with the Zippel after Temur's passing not to use magic and not to recognize their ancestors who used magic. The curse that was imposed on the Rungkandel family because of the contract prevents them from having magically capable bodies when they are born. When asked if he can utilize his abilities to rule the kingdom of Rungkandel, Jin responds that he wants to travel and see if there are any other places more deserving than Rungkandel. His father gave him 5 years to either be acknowledged or to acknowledge the family before giving him the go-ahead to begin his adventure. Jin draws his sword, pledging to see him in 5 years. Jin discovers Gilly waiting for him outside the palace. Jin notices what appears to be a nail on her wrist and inquires about its purpose. Gilly responds that it was placed there to prevent her from using her powers. Jin put on his robe before starting their adventure to see the globe with Gilly. Standing in the shadowy hallway, Jin's father muses on his accomplishments and questions why he hasn't yet broken the family's ancestral oath with the Zippel, as well as how Jin, his youngest child, managed to make a deal with the Solderate and wield shadow energy. While Gilly and Jin were strolling in the forest, Gilly questioned Jin about how it wasn't appropriate for him to go without saying goodbye to his sister and cadets. Jin assures Gilly that his sister is understanding and has a free spirit. Gilly queries him as to their current location because Mammoth is typically the first stop for flagbearers seeking fame. Jin ponders how Sister Mary, before she became a flagbearer, managed to vanquish everyone in the southern region to earn the nickname Wind Fury Mary. Jin wonders why his father gave him 5 years while all his other siblings returned within 2 years after seeing his arm covered in shadow energy. Jin decides to travel to the Arkan Kingdom, where he has heard during previous missions that there are a lot of unregistered magicians. Jin learned from his prior existence that the magicians were the puppets of Tessing, a shadowy family that held covert auctions for goods whose value no one understood. With only 10 gold pieces left after counting the coins, Gilly informs Jin that they won't be able to travel to Arkan. Nevertheless, Jin assures her that the issue would be fixed once they fly to Jin Kingdom. Murakan atop Gilly's shoulders is instructed by Jin to transform. After jumping off, the cat changes into a black dragon. Luna wonders why Jin didn't even say goodbye to his sister as she passes the window, and notices a dragon soaring by. When they arrive at the Jin Kingdom, Jin is instructed to go retrieve the money while they wait for him. Sember muses while sitting next to a lake about how Jin saved his life and how he might be able to pay him back. Jin shouts out for Sember as he turns to leave. Sember is perplexed to see Jin there and inquires as to how he got to Jin. Jin instructs Sember to bring him some money and reminds him that he told him to come to him if he needed any assistance. A waiter prevents Jin and his party from entering the restaurant as they stand in front of it. After showing him a bag of gold coins, Jin and others feasts on a lovely supper. Gilly responds with a smile that Jin isn't a bad kingdom and that she was prepared to go without food for a few days. They obtain the gold thanks to Sember, who was able to pay off his debt to Jin. Jin warns Murakan not to overeat since he might vomit again as they approach the teleportation barrier. As an alternative to using a teleportation gate, Murakan tells Jin that they can ride on his back. Murakan gets made fun of by Gilly for getting motion sickness while riding on his back. Jin informs them that, in addition to their motion sickness, there is another reason they are unable to travel to the Arkan Kingdom. The Zippel family is in charge there, and most of the dragons are present. It would be the equivalent as declaring war on the Arkan Kingdom by flying there. Murakan reveals to Jin that most dragons were afraid of him by turning back to a cat. Jin informs them about the contractors connected to the dragon gods who are currently helping Zippel. Jin was the only person to have formed a contract with a god in Rungkandel. They reach the teleportation gate while he is deep in thought. When the gatekeeper inquires about their names, Jin reveals their identities and informs him that they intended to travel to Arkan for sightseeing. They discuss how helpful the identity cards the family made while sitting on a sofa. Jin reflects on his previous life as he and Gilly teleport to the Arkan Kingdom. Gilly informs him that despite the pleasant weather, the market seemed dismal as they walked through it. Jin responds, the tyranny of teasers, as the reason why. They all three arrive in front of an inn. Jin is asked by Murakan why they must stay in such a run-down location despite having money. Jin responds that it's best for them to remain hidden and not flaunt themselves. They enter a room where a guy is dozing. Jin questions him about ownership. He welcomes them and places several juice glasses in front of them, offering every one of them a drink. Murakan picks up a glass, looks at it, and then violently hurls it in Jet's face, kicking him and screams, "How dare he attempt to poison them," giving him a death gaze. After being severely assaulted by Murakan, Jet offers to speak. Muraken kicks him in the face as he declines. Jin recalls how Jet had assisted him in settling down in Arkan while also defrauding him by posing as an introduction to the underground auctions. Jet gets to his feet and declares that he will not remain still. He is again sent to the ground by a blow from Muraken. They were given a sedative, not poison, according to Jet. Muraken is ordered to stop striking Jet and listen to what he has to say. In his appeal to Jin, Jet begs for his rescue and a second chance. Jin informs him he would ask him a few things while seated at the table. Jet responds that he was an inn owner and an informant for the Tessing family auctions when Jin inquires about his occupation. Jet responds that he was preparing to sell them to the Tessing auction house when Jin questions why he intended to drug them. Gilly and Muraken disagree with Jin's suggestion that they go to the auction house. Jin explains to them that they needed an Arkan guide nonetheless and then departs to locate Jet a doctor. Jin sighs and shuts the door, explaining that he didn't want Gilly and Muraken to know he was a regressor. Jet is intrigued by the identity of the attackers that struck him before curing him. Jet is stopped by Jin, who advises him that it is time to depart for the auction house. When they arrive at a mansion, the security stops them and queries Jet about their identity. Jet responds that he was hosting them. They go inside the structure where plenty of people are conversing while wearing masks, and an orchestra is playing. Since it was an auction house, Jet gives them face masks to protect their faces. When Jin inquires about the identity of the true boss, Jet responds that it was a 7-star martial artist by the name of Spider-Hands Allah. They learn from Jet that Allah's ties to the Runkindle family were the subject of a rumor. Jin is instructed by Muraken to disregard Jet's arguments that such a person cannot exist. They are stopped by Jin, who claims that someone put a spell on him to prevent him from using a sword. Jin believes that no wizard of equal strength could have applied such a severe curse to him. He advises them to examine Allah's identification as they were there to destroy everything else. While making his way down the stairs, Muraken questions Jin about his strategy. The guards at the entrance, according to Gilly, appeared to be adept, and there were also several unregistered magicians present. They shouldn't worry, Jin assures them he has a plan. Jet welcomes them to the basement auction and informs them that they have arrived and that he has found them a seat. The announcer describes the upcoming product as being a group of slaves. Jin queries Jet as to whether he intended to sell them as slaves as well. Jin responds that they would wait until the appropriate moment when Muraken asks what they should do next. The ring he required, according to Jin, was available at the auction house. After a week has passed, Jin and his gang are still waiting for the ideal opportunity to acquire some essential stuff. Jet warns them, however, that if they don't buy anything this time, they risk being expelled from the auction house. The new product, a magic tome from One Ache, is announced by the announcer. Jin responds that it was a fake and that all of One Ache's tomes are managed by Zippel. The next item that is brought in is a magic tome of T's enemy, and Merkin advises Jin to buy it since, if it turns out to be true, it would be a significant event. Jin offers 150 on the book on the belief that a book suggested by a dragon must be valuable. Then another tome, written by Shujil Hister, is introduced. Jin places an immediate 200 offer on it and buys it. That tome was none other than the representative of his former master's clan. Muraken examines the book to ensure that it is genuine and notes that the other one contains some odd encryptions, according to which Jin, in his thoughts, says that only he and his master are able to decipher it. Jet is to go tell Allah that Jin wants to meet him. Jin orders Jet to go tell Allah that Baradin Zipful wants to meet him even though Jet claims it was not feasible. Jet goes to a room in disbelief and yells for Allah. Indignantly staring at him are Allah and his bodyguards. As the guard approaches Jin, he motions for Jin to follow. He receives a blow from Jin, who also asks whether he is Allah before pointing a fireball at him. The terrified guard informed him that he was there to accompany him to Allah. Jin tells him to tell Allah to come crawling at his feet after Jin tosses the fireball at him. Allah and his followers prostrate themselves before Jin, who has assumed the identity of Varadin Zippel. Allah begs for his pardon for not recognizing Jin. Jet thinks that if someone other than Jin had claimed to be Varadin, he wouldn't have believed them, but Jin was different since he could utilize a fireball, and his mana was of 5-star level. Jin first revealed to Muraken and Gilly his intention to pose as Varadin Zippel a week ago. Jin reassures Gilly and Muraken that even if Allah knew someone from Zippel, he couldn't show that he wasn't Varadin, despite their opposition to the concept. Jin tells Allah to stand up while displaying the 2 magic tomes and inquiring as to what he thought they were. Allah regrets having sold them without Zippel's consent. Jin queries Allah about the proceeds from the sale of the mystical tomes, which the Zippel family held in high regard. Allah excuses that he was a martial artist and so unable to appreciate the worth of the tomes. Allah requests another opportunity to bring the books back. Jin advises him that instead of leaving it to Allah, he should go back and get them himself. Allah is instructed by Jin to deliver the client list and account book, and Zippel family will investigate. Jin and his team examine the auctions lists and records. Jin checks them all, and when he asks if there are any more, Allah responds that there are, but they are stored in a different storage facility with tight security, and if Jin would permit, he would go get them. Jin claims that if he were to be granted permission to go, he would burn the crucial papers and determine whether Jin indeed was Veridin. He is told by Jin to continue doing whatever he pleases. After departing, Allah orders one of his members to direct Jin and his group to the storage room and to keep them there until he returns. When Jin and the others begin looking for stuff in the storage space, Murakan questions Jin about what he plans to do if Allah discovers that he is a fake. Jin discovers the ring he was seeking for and informs him that they were going to go after taking the stuff before Allah returns. Jet returns with a document that has details on each slave. When a guard stops them and blocks Jin from leaving, Jin strikes him and brings him to the ground. Jet refuses Jin's advice to take his family and flee to the Bement Empire and insists on remaining with them. Jet is informed by Jin that he is not Veridin Zippel. 2 hours later, Allah arrives bearing news that Veridin had long silver hair. A worker informs Allah that Jin and his crew had gone with all the slaves' paperwork. Allah yells at him and violently slams him against the wall, telling the other workers to go look for Jin and his friends. In order to avoid Allah and his followers, Jin and his company are sheltered by a bonfire in the woods. Jin is questioned by Murakan about why he is at the Arkan Kingdom and whether he has anything to gain from a confrontation with Allah. He is questioned by Murakan about the ring he is holding and how he discovered that it was at the auction place. Allah's subordinate shouts that he has located Jin and his crew. Jin and his company will be hanged at the marketplace, according to Allah, who enters with a long saber on his back and a furious expression on his face. The world will be after Allah by tomorrow, according to Jin, who uses magic mail to distribute information about the slave registration and the customer registry that lists all around the world. Allah yells fiercely, saying he will skin Jin alive and not spare him. Murakan is informed by Jin that he would be fighting Allah by himself. Murakan approaches the Allah army while cracking his neck. As soon as Allah gives the command to assault them, his army charges Murakan. He gives 2 of them barehanded punches as he advances with a killing gaze toward the others. He violently hits each of them one after the other. Some of the magicians hear Allah yell angrily, urging them to attack Jin and Gilly. The magicians prepare powerful fire and ice strikes and direct them towards Jin as Jin orders Gilly to take a backward step. They are all below 5-star. Jin smirks, and the necklace around his neck creates a barrier. Sister Luna, who gave him the necklace, is thanked. Murakan bemoans the fact that there are so many of them. Allah loses it when he sees his soldiers being slain. Then he bursts out laughing, pulls out his saber, and begins slicing his guys. Returning to Jin, Murakan claims to have vanquished everyone but Allah. Allah yells about murdering them while aggressively asking them who they were employed by, and strikes Jin with a strong slash, insisting that he won't be destroyed so easily in a one-on-one battle. Allah aims his saber in Jin's direction. Because Allah planned to murder Jin, Murakan cautions Jin that this fight will vary from the one he had with Bishkal. Allah advises Jin to give his all while avoiding dying. On the torn and ruined earth, Allah and Jin are standing side by side. Allah grumbles at how a weak magician joined the fray to take on him. Jin brings his sword out and uses it to block Allah's strike. As Allah's assault rips through the earth, Jin leans back. Allah charges towards Jin, telling him that he is not a wizard as he had believed. Once more, Jin deflects Allah's blow and attacks with a slash. Allah rapidly closes the distance between them and delivers a vertical slash to Jin's chest. Jin is surprised that Allah was powerful despite his hesitation. Allah yells about how she was duped by Jin's easy trick and that the fireball he used before was an artifact. Allah feels Murakan, who is standing behind him, was stronger than him as he turns to face him. Murakan is questioned by Gilly about whether he would simply watch while Jin fights a 7-star martial artist or take action. If she believes that Jin will lose, Murakan asks. After breaking Jin's defense with a strong blow, Allah lunges at Jin, declaring that this is the end. A 2-star differential was insignificant to Runkandle's magic swordsman. Murakan grins and informs Gilly. Jin summons a fireball, which he then directs at Allah. Allah understands that Jin was a magic swordsman, and that the fireball earlier wasn't an artifact. Jin takes off his cloak and summons a lightning strike to hit Allah with. Allah successfully defends himself with a saber slash. Jin was silly to stand there defenseless. Allah yells, charging at him. When Allah strikes Jin with considerable power, the ring on his finger sparkles and releases shadow energy. Allah is surprised to see Jin unharmed and wearing an odd black helmet. Allah was cut by Jin with his sword. Jin watches in the distance as Allah's shoulder is cut, and the helmet unfolds. As Jin places his blade back in its sheath, his helmet vanishes. Murakan explains to Gilly that the ring was Multa's ruin, constructed for the first emperor, and could deflect any assaults with a star rating of less than 7. Jin thinks as he examines the ring that he can vividly recall where and when the ring was initially found. Jin asks Allah, who is barely alive on the ground, if he has any connections to the Reincarnated family. Allah chuckles and explains that he now realizes he is Jin Reincarnated and that Jin has failed and will be unable to stop a certain person. Jin questions who that individual was, what subject Allah was discussing, and whether his failing had anything to do with the bladed illusion. Jin wonders if Allah was aware of the conflict between him and his siblings for the throne. Since Sister Yona had departed and the other younger siblings were too young and unskilled, Jin assesses who that person may be. Jin speculates that Joshua Reincarnated may be responsible for all of this. The following day, word spreads that the Zippel family has eradicated Tessing. Even though the Zippel family received all the glory for the victory, Murakan assures Jin that he still benefited from the battle. Jin claims that he actually engaged in combat to obtain the ring and win. Gilly warns Jin to be cautious the next time and not let his guard down simply because he defeated Allah. When Murakan inquires as to their next destination, Jin replies that they were traveling to Tikkun, an autonomous nation with a big information center. They take a ship and travel to Tikkun. Jin considers the topics he wishes to research and how Tikkun was the finest resource for learning more about them. Jin learns from Murakan about the light magic that was contained in the tomes they purchased at the auction house. Jin claims that it disappeared in the past. Murakan informs him that the Zippel family destroyed the last vestiges of light magic, and if Jin is unable to beyond his limit, Reincarnated will also be destroyed by the Zippel family. Murakan extends his hand and offers to teach Jin the magic contained in Chenmi's book. Jin questions why it was black if it was light magic when Murakan conjures out what appears to be a black ball in his palm. The black ball releases a brilliant light out of nowhere, and Murakan chuckles, making fun of Jin, who is startled by the brightness. It would be a good spell for both offensive and defense, according to Jin. Murakan pulls out the other book they had brought and informs Jin that he was unable to understand it since it was highly encrypted. Jin advises him to let it go since he would later give it to a skilled decoder. A week later, when Jin and his crew arrive in Tikkun, Gilly is in awe of the town's splendor. Gilly asks Jin if they ought to seek accommodation there. Murakan leaps from her shoulders and changes back into a person, whining that Jin wouldn't pick a dusty location once more. Jin reminds Murakan once more not to change in front of others. Murakan asserts that no one would be aware of him. The young Julia is then awestruck by Murakan's transformation and requests that he show her how to achieve it. Jin gives Julia some ice cream in order to conceal the fact that a cat changed into a man. As Gilly and Murakan look at Jin and Julia, they are unsure of what to do because getting caught would be problematic. Gilly is told by Murakan not to worry since no one would believe a youngster. Only if Murakan had listened to Jin, Gilly says, would they be in this predicament right now. Julia is delivered to the information center by Jin and others so that she might find her relatives there. They make the decision to inquire about Julia with the gate security officer. The security guard recognizes Julia right away and summons the information center leader. The guard responds that Julia was the daughter of the director of the information center when Jin asks if he knew her. The leader approaches Julia, gives her a hug, and expresses regret for being unable to spend more time with her. Alicia Badger is the leader's first name, she says. As a traveler in Jin Grey, he introduces himself. In order for them to help her recover her daughter, Alicia insists on offering them something. As soon as Julia whispers something in Alicia's ear, she immediately grabs a pen, writes something on the paper, and offers it to Jin, claiming it is a letter of recommendation with her seal that would aid them in the city. Alicia questions Julia about if a cat truly did transform into a person as Jin and his crew depart. Julia responds that she witnessed it, but Jin and the others ask her to keep it a secret. Only dragons transform, Alicia wonders. Gilly asks Jin if they can have some ice cream as well because it was a popular food in Tikkun as they sit in a room at a reputable lodge. Gilly goes downstairs to order some ice cream after Jin tells her to do so quickly. Because the 7 colors were challenging to approach, Murakan queries Jin about his strategy. Jin reveals to him that he had intended to meet someone prior to the 7 colors. Jin considers the 7 colors, the Tikkun Information Center, and Nobel Sword Kashmir, a well-known swordsman who, 10 years from now, will declare himself the king of Bement and the first king from Tikkun. Gilly rushes inside the room, claiming that nobody was in the cabin next to them, while Jin was pondering how to approach Kashmir. From behind, a hand reaches out and touches Gilly's shoulder. As Jin pondered what Kashmir was doing there, Muraken becomes enraged at noticing Kashmir's hand on Gilly's shoulder and charges towards Kashmir. Muraken is warned not to murder Kashmir by Jin. When Muraken returns with Gilly, he asks Kashmir whether he thought Muraken seemed well to him. Since they've just recently arrived in Tikkun and haven't caused any issue, Jin questions why Kashmir came to see them. Jin orders Muraken to halt since the area was too tiny for him to change and Gilly would get wounded if he engaged Kashmir in combat there. Muraken regains composure and yells at Kashmir, asking why he is treating them so casually. Jin inquires as to his identity because he has heard a lot about Kashmir, the noble sword. Jin apologizes for not introducing himself and explains to Kashmir that his name was Jin Runkendel when he asks him how he knew his name. Jin revealing himself surprises Muraken and Gilly. Since Jin wants to speak with Kashmir, he instructs him to choose an alternative spot. As they are seated at a table, the troops would have all perished if Jin hadn't stopped Muraken, according to Kashmir, who believes that he brought them along because he learned about the dragon. However, this just made him furious, since dragons only ever lived with magicians who have contracts with a god since ancient times. Kashmir questions Jin as to why he is with a dragon. Jin asks Kashmir why he came to see a dragon and explains that it doesn't matter that he is a Runkendel and is traveling with one. Kashmir shares with Jin the story of his daughter Julia, who claimed to have witnessed a cat changing into a person. Kashmir is questioned by Jin on whether or not he agreed with the little child's assertions. Kashmir informs Jin that his daughter has a pact with the god of sight known as Asmil, so she wouldn't have interpreted the circumstances incorrectly. If Julia has a deal with Asmil, whereas Julia's dragon, questions Muraken. They learn from Kashmir that Julia's guardian dragon vanished a year earlier, and he suspects the Zippel or Bement Empire of being responsible. Kashmir agrees when Muraken mentions that his daughter is 5 years old. If her dragon is not with her at this age, Muraken warns him, if his daughter is indeed Asmil's contractor, she may grow disabled and lose her mind. Muraken warns them that the contractors of Asmil can look into the future, and if Julia continues to do so without taking any precautions, she won't be able to control her abilities. According to Muraken, if an Asmil contractor foresees the future, they are required to act according to what they foresee. Otherwise, they risk being penalized by Asmil for interfering with the concept of casuality. When Kashmir hears Muraken, he sobs and tells them that even though he was the head of the 7 colors, he was unable to locate the dragon. Kashmir approaches Muraken for assistance, to which he replies, "Ask their boss," indicating Jin. Kashmir is consoled by Jin, who assures him that they would assist him in finding the dragon. When Muraken inquires about their knowledge of dragons, Kashmir responds that they are fully aware of which dragons are found on which continents. Kashmir is instructed by Muraken to provide him with details of the dragons present in the Bement Empire. Enya runs up to Miss Quickantle, who is seated on a table out in the woods, and tells her about Jin, who became a 5-star even though they were the same age. Quickantle senses an eerie presence and orders Enya to go home and stay inside until she gets back. Quickantle responds that a dark object appeared there. Muraken diffused his presence across the Bement to entice the other dragons who were staying there while Jin and he were soaring above the water. Muraken advises Jin to avoid getting involved by remaining concealed behind his back. Kashmir just handed it to Muraken along with a list of every dragon in Bement. Jin asks Muraken if there is an issue once he saw Quickantle's name on the list. It could be a little risky, but Muraken assures Jin that everything would be alright because that's how things were with dragons. Kashmir stops Jin and Muraken as they are about to leave and bows to them in gratitude for saving her daughter. Muraken instructs Kashmir to take care of 2 things. First, he must drain Julia's energy until Julia's dragon appears, preventing her from using her abilities. The second is to bring Gilly some ice lollies as Kashmir interrupted them and she was unable to eat them. Jin questions how Muraken could be so kind to everyone yet being obnoxious. Muraken chuckles as he introduces the 2 approaching dragons as Rabis and Until. Jin is told by Muraken to put on his helmet. When Muraken asked for their assistance, Rabis told him to leave the area right away since they didn't want any trouble there. How dare they command him? Muraken shouts at them. Muraken is informed by Rabis that Quickantle was on her way to kill him. Muraken is questioned by Jin about Quickantle's reason for wanting to murder him and their relationship. Jin is told by Muraken that she was his ex. Muraken is asked to leave by both Earth Dragons because their contractors were too little. Both sense the presence of Quickantle, and Murakan warns Jin to hang on tight as a powerful strike approaches. Rabus and Until flee while cursing Murakan, while Murakan and others manage to avoid it. Jin is instructed by Murakan to maintain concentration as Quickhantle charges and fires another attack. Jin is perplexed as to how she can carry out consecutive 8-star level attacks. Murakan is questioned by Jin about if they had to battle such a monstrous foe. Murakan orders Jin to stab her anytime he gets the chance with his Bradamante sword. Jin queries if striking her with his sword would be excessive. By making it this far, Murakan informs him they might be able to hit her. Murakan is warned by Quickhantle, who has transformed into a silver dragon, that she will bury him at sea. Murakan is informed by Quickhantle that it is too late for them to flee at this point. Quickhantle is advised by Murakan to calm down and listen because he has important things to say. He is ignored by Quickhantle, who then launches a strong strike at him. Just in time, Murakan avoids it and turns to face her. Murakan manages to avoid being bit by her as she charges towards him with enormous vigor. With her tail, she strikes him. Quickhantle launches another attack against Murakan even if he tries to stabilize. Murakan covers in a layer of shadow protection. Conversation isn't working. Therefore, they need to find another method to calm Quickhantle. Murakan informs Jin. Murakan is informed by Quickhantle that he has grown weaker as she tears down the Shadow Liberation. Murakan informs Quickhantle that he has come to speak with her and not to argue about the past. In a fit of rage, Quickhantle tells Murakan that even if he were torn into 10,000 pieces, it would not be enough to undo what he has done in the past. Murakan nips Quickhantle and asks if she is acting this way simply because they broke up. Murakan is punched by Quickhantle, who tells him that he is being beaten up because he believes they have broken up. When Jin hears Murakan order her to attack, he leaps off of him, gathers all the dark energy Murakan had previously dispersed, and hits Quickhantle where Murakan had previously bit her. Jin uses his Shadow Kai liberation method to use all his might to hack Quickhantle's arm off. Jin is grabbed by Murakan, who informs him that while most dragons could have perished in that attack, Quickhantle was unique because she had the ability to manipulate time. Before they locate the lost dragon, Jin warns Murakan that they could also vanish. Using her abilities, Quickhantle turns back time such that her severed limb is once again attached to her. Inquiring as to whether she has now calmed down, Murakan explains that she shouldn't have been upset because they had broken up amicably. Murakan dumped Quickhantle. Quickhantle responds, without even hearing her out. Jin wonders whether this was the conversation of dragons that had been alive for a very long time. Quickhantle is told by Murakan that they did not come to fight but rather to ask her a question. When Quickhantle inquires as to whether Jin was the Solderic contractor, Murakan responds that it didn't matter who Jin was and warns her that one of their people is in danger. Murakan is stopped by Quickhantle, who instructs him to inquire as to why he arrived. Murakan informs her that Asmil's guardian dragon suddenly vanished. They learn via Quickhantle that it was seized by Violetta. Jin is curious about Violetta, the wind dragon that served as vice-head of Zippel family Andre's dragon guardian. Quickhantle reports that they abducted Latri with the promise of teaching her dragon language magic. Murakan advises changing sites, and Quickhantle requests that they do so. Murakan and Quickhantle are seated in a cabin in the Jin Forest, the capital of Bement. Quickhantle acknowledges Jin when he presents himself as the contractor for Solderit, and says she is familiar with him. When Murakan inquires about how she learned about Jin, she responds that Temur, with whom they had previously collaborated 1,000 years before, gave off the same energy as Jin did. Quickhantle informs them that Latri was abducted by Violetta a year ago. She is informed by Murakan that the Asmil contractor was too young to control her authority. Quickhantle admits that she thought Zippel had another reason for stealing Latri. Quickhantle informs them that Violetta approached her and requested her to allow Violetta to meet her contractor. Quickhantle claims that because her contractor's name had already been made public, she was left with no other option. Jin queries Quickhantle on how they learned about Asmil's contractor, even if Quickhantle's contractor was made public. If contractor detection magic was developed while Murakan was sleeping, Murakan inquires. According to Quickhantle, it was impossible to learn anything about a contractor unless that individual publicly revealed their authority. Quickhantle queries how the Zippel family would profit from such sorcery, even if it existed. It would be advantageous to them in two ways, according to Jin. First, they could get rid of the contractors outside of Zippel region. The option to enter into a contract with the god of the victim is the second possibility. Since the contractor for Ulta was a pure-blooded Zippel in Jin's past life, he wonders whether Zippel had a special way of making a deal with the gods. Given that they already have so many contractors, Quickhantle questions why Zippel is taking this action. Jin explains to her that even after accomplishing everything, people still have an endless supply of desires. Jin queries Quickhantle about her fear of the Zipples. Jin is halted by Muraken, who advises Quickhantle to leave Bement, and explains that there is nothing wrong with exercising caution. They are assured by Quickhantle that she will assist them. She assures them that if she summoned Violetta and the others, they would arrive right away. Enya enters the building in a haste as Quickhantle is outlining their strategy. It's an ideal time to introduce Enya to Jin and Muraken, according to Quickhantle. Enya requests for Jin's signature and exclaims with pleasure that she had a fantasy about him. Enya is instructed by Quickhantle to uphold her dignity as a contractor. Enya bows down before Jin with delight and identifies herself as an Academy Scholarship student. Jin questions how Enya, a commoner, managed to secure a contract with Ulta given that he only made deals with noble lineages. Enya is reminded by Quickhantle to not come out until Quickhantle instructs her. Enya responds that she came to visit Quickhantle because she was feeling depressed at home, and after meeting Jin, she was glad that she had done so. When Enya asks Quickhantle how Jin got there, he responds that he had gone looking for her and warned her that since she worked for Ulta as a contractor, it's possible that she's being targeted. Enya is questioned by Jin about joining him. Enya shouts that she will accompany Jin as she explodes with happiness. To calm Enya down, Quickhantle knocks her out. Quickhantle exclaims that she believes Enya would even accompany Jin to Runkandle's underground jail after observing Enya's response to his request for her company. Quickhantle is informed by Jin that their clan had no such a thing. Muraken nods off on the sofa. The main reason Quickhantle is assisting Jin, she informs him, is because Muraken didn't realize how weak he had grown and that, in his present state, he won't be able to defeat Violetta by himself. She informs him that 1,000 years ago, Muraken would have thought nothing of her attacks at sea. Before Violetta shows there, Quickhantle mentions to Jin that he might need a place to stay and recommends sleeping at her house. Jin is instructed by Quickhantle to select his words carefully, and to thoroughly explain the issue to Enya after estimating that Enya will wake up in approximately 10 seconds. Enya cries Sir Jin. As she awakens, Enya responds that she would get ready right away to go to Tikkun with her family after Jin explains the scenario to her. Enya is instructed by Quickhantle to get ready to leave today. Enya goes out. Jin and Quickhantle were discussing how she needed to tell the Academy that Enya was unwell before they began looking into her. A knock on the gate is heard. They are asked for firewood by the person outside. Jin interrupts Quickhantle and inquires as to whether the visitor may be a member of the Bement Special Forces, who had come to verify the identity of the strangers that Quickhantle had brought. In a fit of wrath, Quickhantle throws open the gate and snatches the man asking him whether he was a member of the Bement Special Forces by the neck. A guy enters and insists that Quickhantle release the man so that Special Forces won't assault them. He claims to have sent the man there. Quickhantle strikes the unidentified man. He asks Quickhantle as to whether it satisfied her fury. Quickhantle is questioned by the red-masked man about whether or not her punch to him calmed her. The fact that the man was okay even after being hit with Quickhantle makes Jin suspect that he was not an average person. He also believes that the man used a curved blade and that the red mask can only be worn by the commander of Bement's special troops. According to Jin, the Emperor of Bement's right hand, codename Raz, was the only one capable of doing these things. Raz expresses regret for breaking into their home, but explains that he was forced to identify the visitors Quickhantle invited to her residence. Raz is stopped by Quickhantle. She informs him that there is a limit to how arrogant one may be. Enya has just left the house alone. Raz responds that this may be risky for her. Even if Quickhantle managed to halt Raz there, she would still be too late to assist Enya. Raz warns Quickhantle that she could have to give up the thing she values most in order to live the next time. Raz tells his subordinate that after verifying the smuggler's appearance, he should go back and learn who they are and orders to block all further surveillance on Quickhantle. The man asks Raz whether they shouldn't closely monitor their movements. After Quickhantle hit Raz in the face, Raz checks his hand for signs of blood while warning his subordinate that things may become worse if they continued to irritate Quickhantle. Quickhantle slams the table in frustration, calling herself a fool for being careless and leaving Enya alone in the city. Jin informs Quickhantle that looking after Enya comes first. Quickhantle informs him that they must depart the following day. The following morning, Jin and Quickhantle watched as Enya sailed out aboard a merchant ship bound for Tikkun. Jin informs her that he gave the captain a sizable sum of money, and that Muraken is accompanying her to serve as an escort and protect her safety. Jin is informed by Quickhantle that they can meet Violetta as soon as Muraken returns. Muraken returns the woodland again a week later and observes the home. After witnessing the house, Jin queries him as to what has suddenly occurred to him. When they were united with Temur 1,000 years ago, Muraken responds, he and Quickhantle built that house. Muraken is made fun of by Quickhantle for complaining that the flight there was so short he was exhausted. Muraken yells that he was fine and wouldn't weary from the short trip. Quickhantle informs them that Violetta's reply has been received and that she would be arriving to an uninhabited island off the south coast of Bement tomorrow night. Jin and Muraken are being concealed as Quickhantle waits for Violetta. Jin had questioned Quickhantle the day before about her plans for seeing Violetta. In response, Quickhantle says she'll question Violetta about Latri's location. Muraken drones on about how Quickhantle is free to act any way she pleases because Enya was not present. Muraken is informed by Quickhantle that she and Violetta would battle on their own. Muraken yells that he is capable of fighting and didn't require his ex's pity. Quickhantle informs him that because the dragon would be traveling alone, she will handle everything alone. Jin speculates that if Zippel had truly kidnapped Latri, they would show up armed. Together with Andre, Violetta flies to the island. Quickhantle shouts indignantly that she mistakenly believed Violetta would come alone. In her response, Violetta says that Andre was there when she received Quickhantle's letter, and that he shared her interest in the Ulta story. She asks Quickhantle's understanding. Violetta is told by Quickhantle that she has been acting rudely recently. Quickhantle is advised by Violetta to return to the main subject since she has something to say concerning Ulta's contract. Quickhantle questions Violetta regarding Latri's whereabouts. Violetta chuckles as she claims that Quickhantle fooled her. Violetta is ordered furiously by Quickhantle to answer her question. She is informed by Violetta that Latri is doing well. Quickhantle yells fiercely, "How can Violetta mock me?" She is instructed by Violetta to remain out of the Zippel family's business. Violetta has gone insane and kidnapped a young dragon. Quickhantle responds. By using her ability, Violetta creates 2 tornadoes and offers Quickhantle a chance to survive by relinquishing her contract. She is rejected by Quickhantle, who claims Violetta was merely an old lizard. Quickhantle is attacked by Violetta while being cursed to die by tornadoes. Quickhantle changes into a dragon and informs Violetta that she has a deal for her as well, returning Latri to her in exchange for Violetta's painless release. Andre chuckles menacingly, claiming that he has now had the opportunity to use all of his abilities. He releases a strong mana that Jin estimates to be 9-star level. Andre uses his powers to attack Quickhantle. Quickhantle tries to avoid the onslaught but is unable to fly. Quickhantle won't be able to fly, Violetta explains, because she is the dragon of the god of wind and can control all the winds surrounding them. Andre attacks Quickhantle by summoning lightning and claiming that he is not simply capable of controlling wind. Muraken declines Jin's request for assistance, stating that Quickhantle could not have been killed by such strikes. By using her abilities, Quickhantle can pause time. Andre chuckles and remarks that he hasn't seen such powers in a while. Andre is warned by Quickhantle that she will rip his mouth out. Andre says that Quickhantle just needed one spell to get enraged. He commands Violetta to assault her. Violetta states that because Quickhantle halted the time, she is unable to move her body. Violetta is attacked by Quickhantle, who then knocks her to the ground. She bites Violetta while kicking her and tearing her wings. Quickhantle rips her other wing with her hand and snarls fiercely at Violetta for continuing to blabber. Violetta's wings are severed by Quickhantle. Quickhantle is ordered to stop by Andre, who shouts. In Quickhantle's opinion, fighting Violetta had taken too much of her strength, and in order to defeat Andre, she might require assistance from Jin and Muraken. Andre pulls out a stone and tells Quickhantle that such arrogance only belonged to the powerful. According to Muraken, the stone was an origin stone, and since it was destroyed, it could not possibly have existed. The stone reveals a bizarre dark creature. Even if Quickhantle had spent 1,000 years as a dragon and believed she was the strongest, Andre tells her that she was incorrect since Zippel will ultimately control everything. Quickhantle is attacked by the dark entity. The origin stone, which has the authority of all the gods, was created by the gods as a precaution to prevent the end of the world, according to Muraken. However, the gods destroyed it because the stone was so powerful that it might have ended the world. Muraken shouts, wondering why Andre would have such a thing in his possession. Andre receives a hit from Muraken, who orders him to leave Quickhantle. Andre declares that Muraken is the dragon from Runkendel and believes that there are only 2 black dragons in existence. Andre says to Jin that although he originally came for Ulta's contractor, he now had a larger objective. Andre uses the origin stone to resurrect Violetta. In a fit of wrath, Violetta says that he believed Muraken to be dead. Violetta and Muraken clash with one another. Muraken gets attacked with a laser by Violetta as he curses and urges him to go back to sleep. Violetta's strike is halted by a punch from Muraken. Muraken's punch is stopped by Violetta, who tells him that if Murakin had been too frail, he would have been discouraged. Andre tells Quickantle that since she discovered he possessed the Origin Stone, he was forced to murder her. Suddenly, he becomes aware that Jin was also present. Andre gets struck by a flashbang from Jin, who also slashes him with his sword. After witnessing Jin attack Andre, Violetta strikes Jin with his tail, causing him to crash against the wall. Jin uses his sword to successfully deflect the blow. The moment Jin looked up, the attack from Violetta and the Dark Thing were ready to strike him. Jin takes his necklace off and shatters it. The necklace emits a powerful light, and a mysterious girl with a black sword appears from it, telling Jin that she hadn't heard from him in a long. Jin rushes towards Andre, believing that even if he lacks the strength to compete with the dragons, he can at least manage Andre. With a flashbang, Jin slashes Andre's abdomen. Attacked by Violetta, Jin is slammed into the wall. Jin was about to be struck by attacks from Violetta and Andre when he grabbed his necklace and broke it, calling his older sister to his side. Andre is astonished to witness Luna, also referred to as the White Whale. Jin is asked by Luna if he is harmed. Luna becomes enraged at witnessing Jin's severe injuries and demands an explanation from Andre over his involvement with her younger brother. Jin believes that because his sister is present, he is more assured that they would win in the battle. Murakin advises Jin to refrain from engaging in combat since his sister was present. Although Andre claims he wasn't expecting the White Whale to show up, he was certain that Runkandle had broken their oath to the Zipple. The truth won't ever get to the Zipple, Luna chuckles. Andre attacks with the Origin Stone after being startled. With her sword, Luna slices the Dark Thing. According to Luna, Andre was just like every other Zipple she had ever encountered, all talk. To assault Luna, Violetta rushes at her. Violetta is easily cut down by Luna, who then asks him about whether he intends to remain in the dragon form. Violetta changes into his human form and uses his powers to create a spear-shaped weapon. He imbues the power of the Origin Stone into his spear. Andre could need some time to use the Origin Stone effectively, Luna warns. Andre is asked by Luna whether he really believes that the Origin Stone will save them. Violetta spears Luna, who deflects the blow with her blade. They both fight one another viciously, striking each other with heavy blows. Violetta is kicked in the chest by Luna, who has the upper hand. Violetta is informed by Luna that this is the extent of his abilities and that she will put a stop to it as soon as possible. She makes advantage of her might to launch the meteor shower, the Runkandle's third last attack, towards Violetta and Andre. In his earlier studies at Runkandle, Jin learned that the swordsmen there don't practice sword forms but instead have a secret move and a final move to eliminate their enemies. Jin is struck by how stunning but powerful his sister Luna's third final attack was as he watches it land on Andre and Violetta. Violetta changes into a dragon to deflect the meteor that is headed straight for Andre. Andre is stuck while wondering how Luna is able to wield such might without even having a contract with a god or utilizing an artifact. Violetta yells at Andre, telling him that he must live, that they can still win with the Origin Stone, and that even if Violetta loses his life defending Andre, he can still be revived with the Origin Stone. Violetta is only left with one wing when the meteor strikes him. Luna laments the fact that she still has a long way to go before catching up to her father. She believes Jin may outperform their father. Andre reappears in a new form that he acquired from the Origin Stone. He is being bothersome, says Luna. Andre yells. Jin and Murakin are startled when they witness the monstrosity that Andre has morphed into. Murakin informs Jin that the Zipple used the contactors to produce a source stone. Jin is informed that they are going as Murakin takes the form of a dragon. Murakin is informed by Jin that he desired to fight beside his sister. Jin is informed by Murakin that Jin's sister can manage the situation on her own, and that if they remained, they would be interfering with her fight. Jin believes that after signing a contract with the Solderate and getting to know Murakin, he was still forced to withdraw from war without engaging in combat, exactly like in his previous life. Jin is more determined than ever to get stronger. Murakin thinks that Jin is becoming stronger as he observes him, and he feels so pleased that he wants to bite Jin. Andre is questioned by Luna about his belief that he can kill her just for changing his look. She is pointed at by Andre, who also fires a laser beam towards Luna. Luna uses her sword to deflect the blow. Speaking incoherently, Andre claims that he possesses 12 gods' powers and that even if Luna's father were present, he couldn't stand a chance against him. Luna informs Andre that one sword is plenty for a swordsman. If Andre had spent his whole life honing his magic abilities and challenged her, he could have seen half of Luna's martial strength. the woman says as she pulls her blade, creates a red aura, and infuses it with her sword. Out of sympathy for Andre, Luna promises she will demonstrate some of her talents. Andre is perplexed by her usage of red aura, which he hadn't even noticed the knight's use. He makes an attempt to use his abilities to assault Luna, telling her that he will demonstrate what it's like to be powerless. Luna slashes Andre with her mind sword, Blood Moon Strike. Andre shouts at Luna's helplessness. With the red moon attack of her heart sword, Luna slashes Andre in half, shattering the demon stone in his chest. The devil stone creates a vortex that draws everything into it. By driving her blade into the ground, Luna makes an effort to stop herself. Murakan and Jin come to her aid. Luna grins, anticipating that her younger brother will come to her rescue. The guy asks Raz whether the island has entirely vanished. Raz reports that everything had been sucked into a mysterious vortex, and that a significant amount of mana had also been found there. He continues by saying that even though people were present, the mystical power of the Silver Dragon and the Wind Dragon was present. According to Raz, the division believed it to be Violetta because Violetta had previously been reported crossing Bament's bounds. The man asks Raz for additional details as he takes a stone out of his coat. Raz informs him about Violetta's death. The guy inquires about mana. He is informed by Raz that it seemed to be contractors. The guy wonders if the thing Zippel was building has anything to do with the contractors, their dragons, and that unsettling energy. The guy queries about Andre. They were still looking for him, according to Raz. The guy questions Raz about the visitors Quickhantle had before aggressively slamming the table and complaining that certain details were being omitted from the reports. If Raz can't find any before the end of the day, the guy instructs him to file a missing person report for her and to keep any information from the media. Raz is instructed by the guy to send more members of the special division into Zippel area. Raz refers to the man as Amir Bament, the Emperor of Bament, and promises to meet all of his expectations. There is a guy in Bishkal sitting somewhere in a home. He learns from Bishkal that the Silver Dragon and the Wind Dragon engaged in a battle off the coast of Bament that led to the disappearance of an island. Bishkal was positive that the Devil Stone cracked because there was a vortex where the island was located. While spewing food, the man yells, "How dare they ruin my product?" Bishkal uses his hand to protect his face from the approaching food crumbs. Bishkal informs him that the leader is reconsidering the agreement with the Zippel due of the incident, which made him extremely upset. A weird man is seated with a magic crystal as a red dragon breathes fire on a piece of meat. The man says with grief that Andre has passed away. According to Kajun, Andre must have departed with Violetta and taken the Devil Stone as well. The man claims that either someone else aided her or the Silver Dragon was stronger than they had anticipated. Kajun states that the graveyard giant in Kinzello had been murdered by the Shadow Dragon. The man gives him a perplexed look. If it were Misha, as Kajun claims, she wouldn't be afraid of the Devil's Stone. If Misha was Murakan's sister, the guy inquires. Quickhantle was Murakan's ex, so she wasn't a complete stranger to Misha, Kajun responds. She was the one. The man claims to have known what to do next to Kajun. If the man wants him to go look for Misha, Kajun wonders. If black dragons choose to hide, according to Kajun, it is impossible to find them. The guy chuckles, telling Kajun to quit acting like a baby and mourning the loss of the Devil's Stone. Kajun inquires as to how he is doing despite the loss of his younger sibling. The guy responds that he was upset, yes, but he also knew it would happen. He also expresses disbelief at learning that Andre went to Chiron's banquet without notifying him. Kajun advises him to order the creation of the Devil's Stone once more since without it, they wouldn't be able to seize control of Runkandle before Chiron passes away. The man claims that Kajun was not the only person who found this incident upsetting. Kajun instructs him to quit acting like a baby and that if he wanted to rule the world or become its god, he had better go by the name Keliark. The guy responds that he was upset, yes, but he also knew it would happen. He also expresses disbelief at learning that Andre went to Chiron's banquet without notifying him. Kajun advises him to order the creation of the Devil's Stone once more since without it, they wouldn't be able to seize control of Runkandle before Chiron passes away. The man claims that Kajun was not the only person who found this incident upsetting. Kajun instructs him to quit acting like a baby and that if he wanted to rule the world or become its god. Kajun introduces the man as Keliark. Gilly answers the door when someone knocks and inquires about their identity. Jin responds that they have returned and requests that Gilly make them a meal because they were unable to eat anything while flying. As Gilly notices Lady Luna was also present, she faints. Gilly is concerned that Jin may be expelled. Jin is told by Luna that his nanny misunderstood something and that she was a nice nanny. Gilly was too good for him, according to Jin. When Kashmir enters the room, he inquires about Jin's companions. Luna is introduced to Kashmir by Jin. Kashmir is greeted by Luna, who says she has heard a lot about him. Jin introduces Quickhantle as an Iaz dragon guardian to Kashmir. In an instant, Kashmir bows, fearing that he cannot anger another dragon the same way as before. Kashmir receives an apology from Jin for his rudeness in not informing him beforehand. They were both in the same boat, according to Kashmir, so everything was good. Quickhantle inquires aggressively about Iaz's location to Kashmir. Latri had returned 3 hours prior, according to Kashmir, and was with Julia and Iaz. She had no recollection of the time she had gone missing, though. Latri may not have been abducted, according to her. Quickhantle claims that she directly obtained Andre's confession that they had abducted Latri. The proof, as well as everything connected to the Devil Stone, according to Murakan, is being erased by Zippel, including Latri's memories. What did the Zippel want? Kashmir inquired. Murakan responds that they sought to become gods and that they were attempting to gather the power of all existing gods in order to exterminate everyone who stood in their way. They are instructed to relax, and Kashmir promises to use the 7 colors to investigate the situation. If Quickhantle would like, he offers to accompany her to the location of Iaz. Jillian awakens. If she was feeling okay, Jin questioned her. She starts to question why she fainted in the first place. Luna informs Jin that while drinking, he also killed Zippel's vice chief and Violetta after destroying Tessing and making Tikkun safe. She continues by saying that Jin completed all of these tasks in less than 2 months after joining the reserve flagbearer unit, and he also employed magic, for which he risked his life if Jin were discovered. When Gilly met Luna, she said she believed that everything was finished. Luna chuckles and apologizes for scaring the girl. Now all they had to do, according to Gilly, was keep the patriarch in the blind. Luna responds that Jin's father is aware of what took place. When Gilly and Murakan hear this, they are startled. Gilly is assured by Jin that he has a plan and not to worry. He claims that he had intended to bring Luna along when he met with his father. Jin's strategy surprises both Luna and Gilly. Inquiring as to what Jin had planned to do after seeing his father, Gilly cautions Jin not to act while his father ignores him. Jin claims that he planned to inform his father of the Zippel family's attack on Reincarnated. Jin is asked if he wants to give up on the flagbearer test by Luna, who also warns him of the potential consequences of a reserve flagbearer returning home without authorization. Jin advises that because it was all his fault, he should speak to his father directly so that they can work out a solution. Even though she is older than most, Luna claims she has never considered this. She stands up and tells Jin that his father will kill him if he keeps acting the way he is. Jin answers with a smile that Luna would save him if it happened. Jin moves toward Luna, and the two of them lock eyes. Luna remarks on how difficult it must have been for Gilly and how even Jin's family was intimidated by him. Luna accepts and inquires as to their departure time. Jin says he plans to use the first teleportation gate to go tomorrow. The following day, Jin and Luna are surrounded by security, and a woman with silver hair asks Luna whether she brought Jin to Reincarnated instead of persuading him, and Luna expects her to trust Luna. If Jin had become insane after leaving the clan, Jin's brother queries. Luna is questioned by Luncha about why she invited Jin along. Luna responds that Jin arrived on his own. She is informed by Luncha that Luna ought to have prevented Jin from visiting Reincarnated. Where was Dad? Luna queries Luncha. Jin is asked by Luncha if he came to see his father. Jin responds that he did make the trip to see his father. Jin may go visit his father in his study. Luncha sighs, adding that he is there. Luncha stops Luna. She claims that because Jin was supposed to arrive alone, the patriarch gave the order for Luna to lay down her weapon and wait there, inquiring, what if she doesn't want to surrender her weapon? Luna fixes her gaze on Luncha. The other siblings leap in and round Luna, demanding for her to lay down her weapon or they would kill her. Since he was there to communicate with his father as his kid, Jin encourages Luna not to worry about him. Jin considers his other siblings to be less familiar with their father as he travels along the hall. He is standing in front of the study. The door is in bits due to his father's onslaught when Jin knocks on it. According to Jin's father, who granted Jin 5 years, he overestimated Jin. He queries Jin about his early return. Jin is curious by his father that he can use a sword made of his aura to fully vanquish his foes. Chiron is asked by Jin if a son needs a reason to see his father. According to Jin, he went there to see his father. As Chiron listens to Jin, he is astonished. He inquires with Jin as to whether he had any familiar love after venturing outside. Jin responds by saying he has always liked his father. Jin senses his father's murderous intent and wonders whether he said something inappropriate. Chiron believes he nearly laughed. He questions Jin as to why he came to meet him. Jin brings up Andre, who Chiron made fun of at the banquet, and informs him that he has passed away. Chiron questions Jin if he murdered Andre. Jin claims that Luna murdered him, however Jin really started the conflict. Jin requests permission from his father to inform him in full on everything. Chiron tells Jin to have a seat and says he would listen to him as he shuts the book in his hand. Jin is questioned by Chiron about his presence, and he informs him that because Zippel's second-in-command has passed away, they may make moves. Chiron queries whether Jin had only come to tell him that. Andre won't likely serve as Zippel's second-in-command, according to Jin. Despite Luna's might, Andre lacked it because he was the vice-patriarch of the Soul Clan that Runkendel had to contend with. Jin speculates that it could simply be his instinct. Chiron informs him that he was right all along, and that even though Andre may be the vice-patriarch, he cannot be the second-in-command. Chiron informs Jin that someone else held the majority of political power following Kellair, but Chiron won't reveal who it was. Jin says he still has to provide Chiron the most crucial information after thanking him for validating his instincts. What was it? Chiron inquires. Jin informs him that Andre used a piece of equipment he referred to as the magical god stone. The information Jin had obtained indicated that it was a copy of the Source Stone. Jin is asked by Chiron if Murekin informed him of the Source Stone. Chiron is questioned by Jin about his knowledge of Murekin. Chiron informs him that he was also aware of Jin's ability with mana. Jin said he felt Chiron must be aware of mana but didn't believe he was also aware of Murekin. Chiron laughs and claims that Jin verified what he had only speculated about Murekin. Chiron informs Jin that he has some significant news and that he also needs to speak with Luna. Chiron wonders he had to return to the Black Sea and if the Lords of the Sea were aware of this as well. Chiron says he will forgive Jin for breaching the rules once, but Jin won't be pleased with that, so Chiron asks for what Jin requested instead. Jin asks Chiron to forbid the entry of any further Runkendels into the Tikkun city. Chiron agrees, but adds that Jin must first pass a test. Chiron explains to Jin that he needed to provide evidence of a connection to Kashmir of the Tikkun city. Chiron sees Kashmir via Jin. Kashmir is astonished as to Chiron was the world's toughest knight, and he gets an upset stomach just thinking about standing in front of him. Kashmir clenches his fist and believes that since Jin invited him, he shouldn't be afraid. If he was Ghostblade Kashmir, Chiron queries. Kashmir bows and admits that calling him in front of Sir Chiron was humiliating. Chiron hears Jin tell him that he and Kashmir have a similar destiny. Jin asserts that because he has established a connection with Kashmir, his father must honor his promise as well. Kashmir believes that Tikkun's freedom would be lost if Jin had told Chiron that they had a common destiny. Jin has passed, according to Chiron, and no Runkendel will enter Tikkun without his consent. Thanks to Chiron, Jin is told by Chiron to go if he has no further comments and is informed that he needs to speak to Kashmir. Jin says he will wait in front of the mansion. Jin goes back outside and informs Luna that she may need to go see her father since he had some questions for her. Kashmir comes back looking drab. At Kashmir, Jin's brother yells, "How dare you enter Runkendel?" He is stopped by Lunsha, who informs him that the Patriarch must have concluded the case, and that they had no right to intercede. Jin tells Luna that he disturbed her so badly. He should only say thank you, Luna advises. Thanks to Luna, Jin departs by promising to see them again. Jin and Alice are sparring in the basement training area of Tikkun a month later. Jin has lost 30 times and requests another round. Beginning in August of 1795, Zippel announced the passing of Andre and Violetta without providing a cause of death. As a result, rumors began to circulate that they were slain in an internal conflict. Some said they were killed in a conflict with the Cold Gang. The rumor that they perished in combat with the Runkendel family was, nevertheless, the most reliable. A man approaches Chiron as he is getting dressed and informs him that the Shuchern Kingdom has brought presents and asked for their assistance. Chiron gives the order to return the presents and accepts their request to provide a decent swordsman to the Shuchuan Kingdom. Chiron claims that Jin's battle on Bement's Island is what led to all of this. He informs Khan that if Kashmir's letter arrives after he departs, Khan must deliver it to Chiron. He then departs towards the Black Sea. Jin is training at Tikkun, and he swings his sword ferociously. Jin grits his teeth and explains that he must have still lacked strength since the 10,000th stroke must have felt like the first. He believes that even after 15 years of regression, even if he had attained 5-star levels in magic, swordsmanship, and shadow energy, and was almost about to do so, it was still insufficient for the future. He grabs his sword as his hand is covered in blood and declares that he had 5 years to get stronger. Even if Jin trained like this every day, Kashmir interrupts him by claiming he won't get any stronger. Enya clutches Jin's hand out of concern that his hands could bleed. Although there was no one Jin's age who could defeat him, Kashmir said he understood why Jin was eager, and that future opponents would be tough. However, Jin's biggest poison was impatience. Jin is healed by Enya using her magic. Jin claims he felt embarrassed, since Jin was accomplishing the amount of training no one else could do in a day. According to Kashmir, there was no need to feel guilty. Kashmir advises Jin to switch to a more calming form of exercise. Jin inquires about the instruction. Kashmir advises him to spar with a person who is more powerful than Jin. Jin worries whether Kashmir was referring to himself. Kashmir claims that despite only displaying his frail side, he was nevertheless referred to as the noble sword. He pulls his sword out and strikes. Due of Kashmir's strike, the earth next to Jin begins to crack. When Jin is able to block that strike, according to Kashmir, they will spar. Kashmir advises Jin to duel with Tikken's most powerful guard in the meantime. Julia and Alika walk in. Jin is instructed by Kashmir to beat his wife Alika with all of his abilities within 6 months. Julia expresses her dislike for fighting and inquires as to if Alika was planning to fight Jin. If Jin and Alika got into a fight, Alika giggles and exclaims who Julia would support. Julia declares she will support Jin. Alika advises Julia to at least support her mother in this situation. Jin was weak, and Julia yells that her mother always advised supporting the weak. Alika chuckles and urges Jin not to worry about her child. In anxiety, Jin grinned. Alika recommends that they schedule their 6-month bout for after she gets home from work and supper each day. Jin claims that if they fought every day, he could occupy too much of Alika's attention. Alika chuckles and assures Jin not to worry since it won't take long to finish. Jin and Alika are facing off 2 days later. Jin is intrigued by Alika's strength and wonders whether she was a fighter. Alika claims that she intended to inform Jin that she was a member of the Bament's special division before they began. Additionally, Alika advises Jin not to lose heart if he loses to her since at special division they did hold back. Jin takes his sword and reasons that he must not be reckless since he was only given 6 months. In an instant, Alika moves closer to Jin and punches him. Jin uses his sword to deflect her fist. Jin produces a flashbang as he pulls his sword. Jin swings his sword towards Alika. She avoids it and is ready to strike Jin. Jin asks if she will call a medic for him. Of course she will, Alika responds, punching Jin and launching him into the air. In the year 1795, the beginning of August, the Zappel family officially announced Andrei and Waletta's death. However, they didn't reveal the cause of their death, as many rumors started to spread. The most reliable rumor was that they died due to a fight with the Ruin Candle family, as people started to predict that a war between both the families would break out. One of the butlers in the Runkandle family told the head that the Prince of the Sushant Kingdom has sent 5 second-grade mercenary groups asked for support and sent gifts, to which the head told the man to accept the requests and send back the gifts. The head started ranting that this is all the result of the youngest, causing the fuss with the simple family. The head told Khan that he's going to leave for the Black Sea, but if Kazmir sends a letter for him, he should bring it to the head. Jin was practicing an aggression as he knew that he is weak and would have died if it wasn't for Sister Luna. He started working even harder as he realized that he needs to get even stronger in the years his father has given him, as well as to overcome all his siblings. Suddenly, Kazmir came from behind and told him that he has been impatient, and if he works like this, it will act as poison. Kazmir further suggested that he should change his training to something that could calm him down, like sparring with someone stronger than him. He told Jin that he is called the Nobel's word for a reason, and unless he is able to deflect his attack, he should fight with the Tikken's strongest guard, his own wife. Jin looked at her and wondered how she doesn't look that strong when he looks at her. The lady told him that she is formerly from the Jin Lost Bament's Special Affairs Division and advised him not to hold back and not to get discouraged if he loses the fight. Jin lost his first fight in just a moment of time as the lady destroyed him and knocked him down. Once young Master Jin got his consciousness back and was having tea, the lady told him that he didn't expect him to endure her attack twice on the first day. She was able to realize that Jin used his first attack to weaken the ground before they sparred. She was also a bit curious about the ancient spell Flash Whale that Jin used. On the other hand, Jin was a bit discouraged to think that how he suffered a complete loss in his life after using every tactic possible. He wondered how it would be fun to fight with someone so strong for the next 6 months, as Kazmir was looking at him from outside. 1 month later, on the 22nd of September, in an unpredicted area of the Black Sea, Khan reached out to the head and gave him the letter as he told him that the letter arrived 10 days ago. He laughed as he told Khan that he was wondering what the youngest would be doing on an isolated island. and he seems to be getting wrecked by Casmire's wife recently. The letter explained how Jin got defeated in his first fight in just 3 heads, but it started increasing slowly to 40 in his 30th fight. While Khan started looking down on Jin as he lost the fight, the head told Khan that Casmire's wife is Bament's Special Affairs 2nd Division. While Khan complimented and congratulated her head, he further told him that in the 40th spark, he was able to withstood over 120 attacks, and has broken his limit. The head confessed that if he was a firstborn, he would have given the family to him without any regrets, which completely shocked Khan as he hasn't mentioned the heir personally ever before this. He told the head that still there is one thing that he has been missing, which is that he isn't cold enough to leave the family behind, which should be a characteristic offer in Candle. The head then asked him to bring his letters from next time in just 9 days, and he shouldn't get this late. On the other hand, the lady congratulated Jin for his 93rd day, and as he is moving forward in a great speed. As she moved up to have some ice cream, Jin started practicing on his own by swinging his foot, which somewhat impressed the lady. She realizes how the young master's growth rate is abnormal, and it's probably because his aura and magic power is growing simultaneously. With his black aura that he obtained from the contract with a god, he has been amazing. She confessed to that at this rate, it won't take Jin to defeat her in 6 months, but tomorrow she will lose. The following day, as they were both sparring with each other, Jin dodged her attack and was finally able to injure her for the first time. Jin softly whispered a summoning spell calling a magical creature named Phoenix. This creature came from another world and only magicians of rank 6 or higher could summon it. Jin had improved his sword skills during recent battles and also grown stronger in shadow energy and magic. He opened a portal connecting dimensions and a massive fiery bird emerged. At rank 6 magicians could make contracts with assisting creatures, but fate determined the creatures, making it unpredictable. Only magicians who could open gates to the fire realm could summon this bird. Thus, magicians hoped to be chosen by a unique phoenix, some summoning rare blue flames. Casimir gazed at the phoenix, understanding its importance. Sweat formed on his forehead as he looked at the creature. Each flap of the phoenix's wings emitted intense heat. In the Society of Magicians, over 10,000 phoenixes were registered, but only one had blue flames. Jin contracted Tess, considered the noblest phoenix, often leading to greatness. Jin unsheathed his sword Bradamante and began the battle. Alicia lunged with a white aura surrounding her, fists moving fast. Due to Jin's condition, he couldn't predict her moves as usual, but Tess's blue flames stopped Alicia, their intensity causing burns and pressure. Tess's flames could even affect a 7th ranked knight, causing burns and pressure. Alicia skillfully avoided attacks, taking a defensive stance. This gave Jin an advantage, supporting Tess for about 3 more minutes. Alicia aimed to control the battle, but Jin had a plan. Jin infused his sword with shadow energy, creating streaks in the air. He used fire magic too. This strategy aimed to give Jin the upper hand, injuring Alicia if needed. Alicia aimed to disrupt Jin's rhythm. Tess's flame surprised her, but her shield protected her. Alicia caught Jin's blade using an aura shield. She struck back, making Jin step back, but Jin's sword burned with blue fire, surprising Alicia. Jin hit her, making her cough up blood, admitting defeat. News of Jin's victory reached Murakan. Mention of the blue-flamed phoenix stunned them. Murakan asked Casimir about the phoenix, learning its name Tess. Quickhentle heard the news, weakly kneeling in reaction. Jin and Alicia engaged in a conversation. Alicia revealed her misuse of the aura shield, which led to her own defeat. She was astonished at being defeated by a surprise attack from behind. Curious about when Jin had planned the attack, he playfully questioned if she sounded arrogant. With laughter, Alicia admitted her total defeat. Jin expressed gratitude for her assistance, and she replied that she enjoyed it as well. Despite her pride in him, he didn't fully recognize it. Alicia urged Jin to share his feelings about his victory over a special Department of Bament member at the age of 15. Before he could respond, Quickhentle and Murakan arrived in a rush. Murakan requested Jin to call Tess, which he did promptly. Quickhentle greeted Jin with a bow, while Murakan seemed uneasy, recalling a past with Tess. During Murakan and Tess's conversation, Tess's voice couldn't be heard. Instead, Tess tapped Murakan's head rapidly. Surprisingly, the black dragon complied without resistance. Although the dragon agreed to something, Tess persisted. Murakan finally intervened, requesting Tess to stop. This display left Casimir amused. Eventually, Murakan urged Jin to end the summoning. Jin pondered the surprising submissiveness of the formidable Murakan to the bird Tess. Murakan explained that Tess wasn't in her true form, which was only visible in the realm of fire. Creatures from this alternate dimension had been spotted in uncontrolled areas such as the monster-infested Black Sea or through summoning like the Phoenix. Jin, despite his magical knowledge, was unaware of the kingdom of fire. Even the highest gods couldn't fully comprehend its power, including the flame god Shinu. Murekin disclosed that in the past some gods left the realm of fire, but Tess's true power was witnessed when he annihilated gods and dragons who angered him. Murekin conveyed Tess's fondness for Jin, congratulating him. On January 2, 1796, Chiron read Casimir's letter learning of Jin's choice of Tess. While intrigued, Chiron was more focused on Jin's improvement in swordsmanship. He felt a tinge of disappointment, desiring Jin's excellence in fencing as a Rungkandal. Chiron discussed a plan with Khan to remove pirate Dante Heron from the Cosmos competition. Casimir presented Jin with an application for the Cosmos competition aimed at pirates and ranking from 2nd to 3rd tier. Casimir saw it as entertainment and a chance for Jin to confront Dante Ron Heron's grandson. Casimir convinced Jin to participate as it was an opportunity to spar with Dante. Jin agreed reluctantly, sensing his father's deeper motives. Jin sensed that this duel was about more than just swordsmanship. He departed for the space arena, acknowledging that emotional ties could hinder him. The space arena, a pirate-controlled island near Balado Empire, was a chaotic contest with minimal rules. Jin's understanding of his father's intentions became clear. Confronting a competitor individually with magic and shadow energy before an audience was reckless. It was riskier than the Mammoth incident. The chaotic nature of the competition surprised Jin, considering the Heron family's reputation. Jin reached the front desk where a table was set up in front of the arena. The setup appeared chaotic and disorganized. He handed over the registration form filled out by Casimir. This action surprised the registrar, who had hair covering his large body and tattoos on his arms. The registrar suggested Jin leave since the registration had closed, and even hinted that giving up might be the better option. Jin firmly believed that the registration remained open until sunset. He tried to explain this, but the registrar dismissed him, saying he wasn't accepting more applications that day. The registrar indicated a desire for money by making a gesture with his thumb and forefinger. Jin understood the situation and decided to teach him a lesson. He clenched gold coins in his hand and struck the man on the face. He also threw coins on the ground. The registrar's demeanor changed positively and he nodded. Jin marveled at his own strength, which could seriously harm a skilled 4th-ranked knight. However, despite the blow, the registrar stood up, laughing at the sight of the money. The registrar appreciated Jin's approach and added his name to the list. Jin was assigned to the 13th group and given directions. The registrar informed him that someone inside would guide him. At the competition, Jin was warmly greeted by the man with gold teeth, who turned out to be the contest's host, Cosmos the Pirate King. The arena's interior resembled a prison with long dark corridors and rooms connected by prison doors. The guides and Cosmos's subordinates were more amiable than expected. Jin's guide, holding a paper with Jin's assigned group, believed Jin appeared confident and chose a suitable companion to help him. If no one was available, the guide didn't care about their fate. The guide noticed many young participants that year, including an individual who had fought their captain, likely Dante Heron. The Pirate King hoped they would meet in the final and wished them luck. After being added to the 13th group, the Pirate King left, saying they might meet again if Jin survived. Jin inquired about his room and the Pirate King rudely brushed him off. Jin chose a room and explored the corridors, but all the rooms were old and unclean. The setup seemed to deliberately force participants together. The arena appeared more like a survival game than a simple brawl. The tight, confined rooms were intended to make competitors fight within limited space. The guide's prediction that Jin might not survive was due to the challenging environment. Jin's combat strength wasn't enough, observation and experience mattered more. The Pirate King himself believed that surviving in such a wild place required qualities he possessed more than Jin did. Jin entered a room and confronted troublesome individuals, expelling them with a swift display of his combat skills. Other participants emerged to watch as Jin secured a clean room, although he anticipated more challenges. The fight continued as Jin faced numerous opponents. He skillfully wielded his sword impressively, dealing with attackers. Afterward, Jin found himself reading books in a more relaxed atmosphere. The Pirate King approached and commented on the aftermath of Jin's battle. The Pirate King mentioned that the 1st and 2nd groups would begin soon and Jin could observe their battles. They headed towards the arena and Jin was astonished by the massive crowd. He regretted not focusing more on his disguise. Jin overheard members of the audience discussing a rumor about a potential flag bearer from the Rungkandal family appearing. This news surprised Jin, who then quietly sat down near 2 nobles to listen to their conversation. One noble questioned why a Rungkandal would be present, and the other responded that they heard this from Cosmo during a drinking session. The conversation revolved around a strong participant from the Reincarnated family, possibly Haytona or Jin Reincarnated, due to their young age and 5th rank achievement. Jin found it interesting that his family's reputation was widespread, even including the names of the twins. Jin realized their presence could be advantageous, using them for protection and handling the less savory tasks. Other nobles also speculated on which Reincarnated member was participating. As fireworks illuminated the sky, a man entered the arena, the Pirate King Cosmos. Despite being a lawbreaker, the audience cheered for him. The battle commenced at the arena's edge with pirates from various groups. Participants emerged as steel doors opened, with each group containing 14 individuals. Approximately 182 applicants took part. Cosmos represented the central figure of the first match, facing off against Mantis from the Shark Pirates. Mantis wielded peculiar swords and faced a younger-looking newcomer named Paul Mick. As the fight began, Cosmos exited the ring, allowing Mantis to showcase his skills and swiftly decapitate Paul Mick with a crescent-shaped swing. The audience was stunned by the speed of the outcome, including Jin, who was on the cusp of reaching the 6th rank. The swiftness caught Mantis off guard as well. Jin recognized the fighter as Dante Heron, the sole applicant capable of such a feat. The audience fell silent, and the VIP seats above Jin held a man who stood and applauded, Veridin Zippel. Jin was surprised to see someone he knew well. The applause spread, and those around Veridin also joined in placing bets on Paul Mick's future success. Jin sensed that Veridin's presence held a purpose similar to Dante's. Jin worried that Dante might notice him, which could lead to complications. Veridin noticed Jin's gaze and waved energetically. Jin chose to ignore this and observed Dante, who surprisingly waved back. This connection puzzled Jin and gave him a headache to think about. Dante expressed contentment in eliminating a villain and criticized the pirates. Cosmos left, encouraging Paul Mick to give his best in the upcoming matches. Dante quietly headed to the waiting room as the battles continued. Jin watched the remaining matches, with Paul Mick catching his attention due to his exceptional swordsmanship despite his youthful appearance. Jin pondered whether Paul was actually Dante Heron. The decisive factor in defeating Dante, Jin believed, would be utilizing magic and shadow energy skills he employed to defeat a retired agent recently. While Dante's skill was undeniable, Jin felt he could win using these techniques. Jin needed a strategy for victory against Dante, whose older age led to superior swordsmanship. The next matches spanned several days, with Jin's turn in 4 days. He needed to survive until then. Dante appeared weary, having not slept for days before the space competition began. Veridin was holding a pendant, and the Elder disapproved of it. The Elder asked Veridin if he knew about the Cosmos competition. Veridin acted suspiciously and made the Elder disapprove even more. The Elder wanted to scold him, but instead sighed. The Elder then mentioned that Dante Heron, the temporary head of the Heron family, was in the competition. The Elder told Veridin to go there and observe his future opponent's strength. Veridin had money, but wondered why they hadn't played a normal match in the last 2 days. He was unhappy and disappointed with how things were going this year. He found Dante's skills interesting, but the other participants didn't impress him. Veridin noticed Jin Gray's name on the non-tournament grid. He recognized Jin and was excited, since he considered both Jin and Dante as his rivals. He didn't expect to find them both here. However, Jin seemed indifferent to Veridin's presence. Jin was exhausted and resting on the ground. There were 147 participants left, with 35 deaths, including 5 in double matches. Jin was on his feet for 4 days without proper sleep. Jin heard footsteps getting louder in the hallway. He sensed someone approaching with intent to harm. He took his sword and prepared to defend himself. However, the unexpected visitor turned out to be Dante, who was looking for a place to rest. Dante had been observing Jin and acknowledged his sword skills. Dante fell asleep quickly, which surprised Jin. Later, Jin heard more footsteps and realized a gang was planning to attack Dante. Jin took a defensive stance, ready to fight. He defeated the attackers, who were not skilled killers. They were planning to take advantage of Dante's vulnerability. Dante woke up much later, and Jin explained everything that happened. Jin had saved Dante from the attackers and learned about One-Eyed Joe and a gang of pirates. Dante thanked Jin for saving him. Dante explained that he was a nobleman from Bement, hiding his true identity. He appreciated Jin's understanding and pledged to protect Jin's life if needed. They both fell asleep, and Dante realized Jin was fighting for him despite being initially distant. He felt that Jin had become a good friend. The next day, Jin's battles were similar to Dante's, ending quickly with Jin's swift kills. The audience fell silent and Veridin cheered, but some still doubted Jin's strength compared to Paul, the reserve standard bearer of the Reincarnated family. Paul was uncomfortable hearing these comparisons. Jin displayed impressive sword skills, but the nobles in the hall were convinced that Dante was the temporary standard bearer of the Reincarnated family. More money was being bet on Dante, making the others less relevant. The finalists, winners and veterans from last year were not impressed by the participants. Most cared more about the betting pool than the grand prize. A bearded veteran suggested killing the young participants to manipulate the winnings. However, the Pirate King Cosmos intervened and warned against harming Jin and Dante, who were popular names. The veterans decided to retreat as young monsters could be a threat. The rest of the participants united to avoid killing each other and secure their places for the next year. The veterans planned to manipulate the victory and increase the prize pool. Cosmos increased the dividend rate for everyone except Jin and Dante. The remaining rounds of the preliminary games passed quickly, with staged battles setting the stage for a duel between Jin and Dante. In the finale, the audience waited eagerly for Jin and Dante to appear. Veridin was anxious and didn't close his eyes. Veridin's bodyguards favored Palmic over Jin due to his refined sword skills. Cosmos introduced himself to the audience but faced mixed reactions. Dante was more popular than Jin due to the belief that he was a Runkendel. When Dante entered the arena, many cheered for him. Jin's entrance garnered quieter applause and prayers from gamblers who bet on him. Jin and Dante faced each other with calm expressions, deliberately standing apart. The tension was palpable and both were hesitant to strike first. Jin sensed Dante's superior swordsmanship while Dante refrained from attacking as well. Jin's attention shifted and Dante's sword flew through the air. Jin's surprise was evident as he quickly lifted Bradamante while Dante approached him with a friendly smile. The power behind Dante's strike was remarkable, as if an explosion had ignited within his sword. A cutting energy reminiscent of split obsidian accompanied the weighty blow. Jin struggled to maintain his stance, sidestepping to create distance from Dante. With a knowing smile, Dante recognized that his trick wouldn't easily work on Jin. As Jin readied himself for a counterattack, a potent aura enveloped Dante's blade. Jin responded by infusing his own sword with his aura. Their clashes resonated with explosive sounds, echoing steel upon steel rather than mere sword clashes. Jin discerned a pattern. Dante's initial strike was the fastest, motivating Jin to focus on stamina preservation and timely bursts of speed. Spectators anticipated a fierce showdown, with Veridin gripping his clothing nervously despite his sweaty palms. Initially cornered, Jin gradually caught up to Dante's rhythm. After around 20 exchanges, they seemed evenly matched. Jin's strategy was to exploit Dante's endurance, recognizing that Dante's small stature despite his skills meant he had less stamina compared to Jin. The latter belonged to the robust Runkendel clan, endowed with superior strength, stamina, speed, agility, and recovery. However, Jin's blood loss from a wound hindered him, and Dante too experienced stamina drain. Jin wasn't truly losing. His aim was to exhaust Dante. He conserved energy through parrying and dodging, waiting for Dante's stamina to dwindle. Jin believed he could sustain the fight for hours provided he kept up with Dante's pace. Aware of Jin's strategy, Dante cautiously guarded against early exhaustion. Unexpectedly, Dante launched an attack that injured Jin. Determined to avoid further harm, Jin staunchly defended himself as Dante's stamina rapidly waned. Spectators who favored Dante's victory shouted, thinking Jin was faltering. Yet Dante began to grasp Jin's plan. Jin's Runkendel heritage was known for remarkable stamina, enabling him to persevere through wounds. Dante faced a dilemma. He wished not to kill Jin and thwart his family's secret technique. In a few days, Dante had come to value Jin as a savior, a formidable foe, and a friend. Jin intuited Dante's internal struggle and dropped to the ground, locking eyes with Dante. He disclosed his true identity as Jin Runkendel and urged Dante to fight without restraint. Both competitors froze the audience's cheers unabated despite the temporary closure of the arena. Despite the hiatus, the crowd's bets amplified the clamor. Dante was puzzled by Jin's words, nearly drowned out by the audience's excitement. Jin's revelation left Dante perplexed. To conclude a battle without causing harm would be a warrior's defeat, while belittling a respected opponent was disrespectful. Dante confronted a decision: employ his secret technique or give his all without it. For Jin, regardless of victory or defeat, Dante's best effort was essential. Ultimately, Dante chose to apologize for concealing his true strength, and aimed his sword at Jin, intending to strike honorably. Jin reciprocated by meeting Dante's sword with his own, harmonizing the clash with a gentle metallic melody. At that moment, a strange feeling washed over them. The shouts of the crowd faded like distant echoes. Everything around them became blurry and gradually darkened, leaving only the two of them facing each other. Without speaking, they shared an unspoken understanding that an intense battle awaited them. This was a shared vision that swordmasters often had during combat. Their clash happened so quickly that it was hard to tell who attacked first. Unlike their initial cautious sword touches, now their blade strikes produced blinding sparks, loud explosions, screeching metal sounds, and the echoing of wind. An aura shimmered around them as if their fatigue had been a lie. Blood and sand sprayed across the arena from their strikes. The crowd, which should have cheered, fell silent in astonishment. The two teenagers battling looked like giants in their eyes. The spectators dared not even blink, fearing to miss any moment of this intense fight. Although the arena had been open for a decade, this was an unprecedented spectacle. The usual brutal combat had transformed into a duel between two skilled knights. The crowd admired Dante's efforts in overcoming his physical limitations. He trained relentlessly, kneeling in despair multiple times before conquering his fatal flaw. Jin, who had gone through a similar struggle, understood Dante's past. He envisioned the dim training room where Dante had agonized over his weak body, determined to improve. Dante quivered, reflecting on his journey from hopelessness to becoming the likely heir of the Heron family. His sword provided motivation, pushing him to give his best even after grueling days. Jin respected Dante's determination, being familiar with the hardships he endured. Both had histories of unwavering training and self-discipline. Jin, although born into a haven for knights, seemed distant from the world. It was as if he observed it from afar, intensifying Dante's sense of hopelessness. Jin, with all his blessings, wielded emotions in his blade that weren't easily understood. Dante pondered whether Jin's desperation stemmed from wanting to be the best in the world or from enduring days of hopelessness and despair. Dante pushed himself to his limits while Jin felt victory within reach. Dante's body was failing, and now Jin had to decide whether to strike or not. Yet Jin knew that dealing a lethal blow to a defenseless Dante would be disrespectful. In a moment of comprehension, Jin swung horizontally, narrowly avoiding Dante's throat. As Dante collapsed to the ground unconscious, Jin blinked rapidly in the tense atmosphere, gazing down at him. Time appeared to stand still in the ensuing silence. Just as Jin was about to call for medical assistance, a spectator leaped into the arena. It was Veridin, who knelt beside Dante and began casting a spell. Veridin swiftly cast 3 consecutive healing spells, showcasing his incredible magical talent. However, at this moment only Dante's condition concerned Jin. Veridin's expression seemed unimportant as he chanted the spells. In less than 10 seconds, his entire body was drenched in sweat. Jin marveled at the amount of mana Veridin had channeled. Despite using a spell that could instantly heal fatal wounds, Dante's eyes remained shut. It was too late. The point of no return had been crossed. Using magic to heal in this state would only intensify the pain. Dante's body was broken, his bones shattered, and his aura burning with an intense energy. Recovery magic would only amplify his agony. The only way to keep Dante alive was a drastic option. Veridin spoke gently to Jin, explaining the course of action they would take. He emphasized that what they were about to do must remain a secret between them. As the guards saw the object Veridin showed them, fear drained the color from their faces. They hesitated, but then followed Zapel's orders, using their cloaks to cover Veridin, Jin, and Dante. The crowd fell into hushed whispers due to this sudden turn of events. Nobody opposed Veridin's actions once they saw the Zapel family insignia on the guards' cloaks. Even the pirates were subdued. The host Cosmos refrained from interfering in the unfolding situation. Cosmos shouted for the audience to shut their eyes and ears, a rather absurd demand that was surprisingly obeyed. The Zapel family's reputation was not one to be challenged. Space felt tense as Veridin presented a certain object, a gem that at first glance resembled a spherical ruby. Upon closer inspection, its deeper shade of red resembled compressed blood. An indescribable and eerie energy emanated from it. Jin had encountered this before, though he struggled to recall exactly when. It was not based on what he saw physically, but on what he had read in a textbook during his student days. Veridin referred to it as numerous blood, a revelation that left Jin in shock. While Jin thought Veridin might be foolish, he also considered him an intriguing one. Veridin implored Jin to stay this time, making it clear he wouldn't accept a refusal. Eventually, Jin, Dante, and Veridin gathered to celebrate. They shared drinks, engaged in conversation, and had a lively time. Jin handed over all the gold he had won to Dante. Although Dante remarked that the Heron family was wealthy, he decided to preserve the gold, perhaps framing it as a memento. Veridin too expressed a desire for something from Jin. In response, Jin produced a small treasure chest and retrieved a treasure map. He tossed the chest to Veridin, instructing him to hold on to it. Dante exclaimed as soon as he heard the word impersonation. He wondered what a bold move it would be to impersonate a Zapel in the land, as the rumors said that Runkendel were behind the impersonation. Jin asked Veridin about what they planned to do with the impersonator. Veridin replied that they have to catch them by all means and will be giving the case to the special grade majors to investigate. Jim suggested Veridin to act as they are all good, because if they announce that their clan is going to be searching for the impersonator, the things will be ridiculed since they will be telling everyone that they are being played. Jin stood up and said that it's time to leave for him, as he has a lot of work to do. Even though he was a bit shocked to hear that Veridin called him a friend, he just smirked at him and left. Kazmir sent a message to the father of the Runkendel notifying that Jin has defeated Dante and has also won the competition. Further, he also mentioned that Jin was able to achieve 6-star sportsmanship, which shocked the father a bit. He decided that he'll have a drink with Jin sometime soon. The man returned back to Jin and gave him all the details about his meet with the patriarch. Jin finally presented the map he won in front of him. As he tried to figure a bit out about the map, Yuria came from behind to see the map as well. Suddenly, Yuri's eyes started glowing as she started seeing something very sad and pointed it on the map. Mirakin suddenly got active and asked them to call her garden dragon to calm her down. The guardian dragon rushed towards Uriah to calm her down and ease her to sleep so that she stops crying. He further told everyone that she was seeing the past and the condition for her contractor is that she'll see the deep-rooted grudge or obsession when they see an object. The dragon guardian started talking about the place as he said that the native people have closed themselves off the outside civilizations and only believe in the god they worship. The ones who sought them were mages who approached the narratives, saying that they want to learn more about their culture but slowly started turning over them. Once their act got busted, they started killing, feed the natives and threaten them to bring over something. They wanted a special godly object that they worship, which suddenly strikes some bells in Jin's mind. He realized that the object was the artifact mirror and remembered how it was the artifact that was revealed to the world by a certain brave journalist who exposed the atrocities of Zippel. Zippel were the mages who sought the colon to find the artifact and even exploited the residents. On the other hand, another Zippel mage was enjoying his time with the wine and decided to move forward so that he doesn't get attached with the place. A native girl realized that someone is coming to save them and started planning to greet the new guests. Jin himself was a bit shocked to realize that he got the map to the Foundation magic from a mere pirate. When Murakin asked him what happened, he decided not to tell everyone that he knows about the place and apologized for Uriah's terrible experience. Literary told Kazmir that he will be taking care of Uriah as Kazmir focused back on the map. He decided to look around for someone who can decipher the ancient language. Even though Jin said that he will leave everything to Kazmir, he knew that he couldn't, as he wondered if they would be able to get their hand on the mirror before the Zippel family. In order to get the lines translated, Jin and others found a Colon man who was drinking on the road. After explaining that they aren't zipping and just a friend took them to his sister. As they entered the room, the girl was standing in front of him and told them that she was waiting for them. Everyone was a bit shocked to see the girl's presence, as it was just like the noblest bloodline of her tribe. As the girl looked at Jin, she told all the things about him which was factual and something that not many people know. When Jin asked her if she was a god, she replied that she isn't a god, but just a vessel. As she read the message on the map, she told others that the map was written by her grandfather and is just a call for help so that someone can save them from the Zippel's grasp. In order to make a proper deal with Jin, she offered that she will use the lasts of her god's strength and bring Solderit to talk to him again. Jin agreed for the deal and decided to head for Colin, but he told the girl that he can't guarantee that he would be able to save all of them. She decided to tell Jin about the internal situation of the city so that they can help them. After listening to the information, they all headed to the Colon area, but was shocked to see that the place was a restricted area. Jin wondered how, in the last life, this place was not at all restricted, but speculated that his cadet days had an effect. Looking at the fact that there was only one sign placed by the Zippel family, both Jin and Sir Murakin entered the restricted area. They wondered if the Zippel family couldn't find the artifact in hundreds of years, and now they just use it as a vacation spot. Suddenly, Murakin felt a presence around them. He asked everyone to get alert as they started observing. They were the natives who were working as slaves for the Zippel family when they suddenly saw a silver-haired man who was drinking in the middle of the day. The man was none other than Muron Zippel, also known as the Lunatic of the Major Tower, as he is the lunatic mage who is the master of the 7th Mage's Tower, and also an 8-star who possesses a plethora of items to keep him confident without guards. Murakin was able to kill Muron when Jin stopped him and told him that, as they have also killed Andre Zippel, it may cause a huge move, so they shouldn't just kill Muron. Suddenly, they heard a man coming from behind. Jin sneaked behind him and placed a knife on his neck to investigate about him. He was completely shocked as the man told Jin that his name is Dino Jaglan. He is the same reporter who reported about the Colon in his previous life. Jin gave all the information he had and told the man that he does not need to worry, as they have the same goal. He finally placed all the information and interviews he gathered in the form of a book. He further mentioned that he also approached Myron, and as he was not in guard, they were able to ask questions and answer it while he was drinking. Jin then asked Dino for a favor. In the night when Muron was cussing his elders for putting him in such an insect hole with people that he can't even communicate with, Dino came from behind with a drink. He also took Jin and his friends by saying that they are travelers and storytellers. Muron agreed to have them as Dino told Muron that he met Jin in the Fallen Kingdom while digging for medicinal herbs. Jin remembered his meeting with Veridin when he explained how Muron is the most disgusting person he knows, worse than Uncle Andre. They wondered what the elders were thinking to make him the Mage Tower Master. Veridin further advised Jin not to fight head-on with Muron in the future. Muron laughed at them and asked if they are going to tell them the many adventures they have been through. Tuin said yes and confessed that he has had many fun experiences in the past. Myron told everyone that he was really curious about the reporter, as how a random reporter could fearlessly come in this restricted site. But then he asked Dino why he went around investigating about the red people, which caught Jin's attention. Muron knew that he was investigating people the moment Muron left his spot. He further told him that the ones who gave the interview to Dino are all, which shocked Dino a lot. Muron came to the conclusion that Dino is really fearless because the Reincarnated are backing him. The moment he said that, a fight began between them, but as Murakan attacked, a shield came in between. Jin was somewhat shocked to see the shield, as he couldn't send any magic, and even if he hit the spell in the bonfire, he couldn't sense any flow of magic either. Murakan told Jin that he is hiding something which lets him remove the trace of magic, as Muron was busy wondering how Jin could get a private contract when he is preliminary flag bearer. Jain just cut the cheese and started fighting. Murakan was trying to save the reporter and evacuating people. As the reporter was running, he suddenly came across few people. He was completely shocked to realize that Muron cut the people's voice box give the interview to Dino. Jin took his shadow form and attacked Muron and told Muron that they will kill him now. Kazmir was completely shocked to see Jin's power and the power of shadow energy. On the other hand, Muron was completely annoyed by the shadow energy as it was eating on his magic. Finally, Myron realized that the soldier at his siding with the Rungkindle again and broke his pledge. All of them looked up to see that there was another huge magic that was being casted by Muron secretly, and Jin was again not able to sense any kind of magic flow. Murakan threw Jin up in the air as Jin crushed all the magic spears in the air only. Muron started using a huge amount of mana to cast different kinds of magic all over the place. Jin was still able to keep up with Muron because of his shadow energy, which erases all of Muron's magic power. Muron was now able to sense that he is in a bit danger and started casting different kinds of trap magic all over the area. Jin knew that it will take a lot of mana if he strikes all of the trap magic, so he'll just move forward and dodge the traps. Miracle asked the reporter and all the others to evacuate the space and get out of the magic circle, even though Muron told them that everywhere he can see is inside his magic circle. As Jin was moving forward, he realized that the magic in front of him is the eroding earth, which is a special type of magic that splits the ground into two, and decided to move forward. Jin was a bit confused as he sensed that something is strange. Even though Muron is an 8-star magician, he can't control such a magic power, which refers to the fact that he must be hiding an artifact with him. On the other hand, Muron was impressed by Jin's capability to understand magic, and he realized that he must be a magic swordsman. He confessed that as Jin is a magic swordsman, he will just use even stronger magic to push him back. Magic reflux, the most critical symptom that can occur to being possessing magic. It occurs as the magic inside the body rampages and is a phenomenon that starts with the internal organs rupturing and breaking apart. This phenomenon occurs on the side of the one with lower amount of magic in Battle of Majors, and unlike martial artists, it's easier to see who's above or below the other between majors. As the Rungkindle didn't have magic to cause reflux up until now, they were all low level and the only majors had was to fight them with magic. But in case of Jin, it won't be necessary. Jin could see through his actions and told him that he was expecting such a reaction from him. He casted a magic orb which shocked Muron. Suddenly, Muron got transported to a weird place where all he could see was darkness. He wondered if it was the power of the shadow, but the feeling was different. He realized that he saw a huge light explosion in front of his eyes, because of which his sight has gone. He realized that Jin is going to attack him using his word, and somehow dodged it. He was completely shocked to know that Jin could use the ancient light magic. He knew that the powers of light and shadow being able to meet is very strong. Muron started laughing looking at Jin's magic as Jin was thinking that he has lost his mind. Muron told him that the half-dead people is his mana amplifiers and supplement him with magic. He asked Jin to kill the people behind him as he knew that Jin won't do such a thing. When suddenly a girl came out of the smoke and shouted that it's all a lie. and the people behind him are all dead. She further told Jin that Muron was trying to just control him and Jin should save him. Suddenly, the reporter came from behind and told Jin that the girl in front of them is acting as the proxy of the priest, and they must save her to keep the people alive. Muron started burning the girl using his fire when Jin remembered something about the magic eye of blue fire his master told him long back. Remember that she told him that in order to deal with the fire, they have to burn it with even hotter fire. As these words came in Jin's mind, he summoned the Tess and saved the girl. Muron couldn't believe that Jin even had the support of Tess. It's known that the person who is chosen by Tess is destined to become the strongest mage of that generation, but Tess chose mere Swordsman and a rum candle. The girl was completely shocked to see that she was covered in flames, but it wasn't a bit hot at all, and seemed as if the fire is protecting her. Jin thanked her for saving him from being tricked by Muron and told her that she can rest assured now. But the girl told him that they don't have any time to get relaxed as Muron is using the power of the divine relic. However, he doesn't possess it and Justice knows a few trigger words. She further requested Jin to save them all and she will tell him the location of the divine relic. Jin laughed at Muron's changed face expression as he was still shocked to see Tess in front of him. While Jin wondered that he was going to finish the fight, Muron lost his mind as he started flaunting how he was the lover of the witch and was someone who drank with the kings of the Black Sea. As Muron started casting a special type of magic, Tess got angry and her fire started feeling more pressurized. Suddenly, Muron came from behind. He told Jin that he has evacuated all of them, but Jin has to focus on the magic which was casted by Muron just now, as it was a position spell for the Demon King Oracle. He further told Jin that, while Tess is interfering with him, gather all his shadow energy and release his word as much as he can. As Jin was about to release his shadow energy, the mana counterflow came all at once and he realized that he won't be able to maintain Tess for long. As Muron was able to release his final attack to kill Jin, accumulated all the shadow energy to his sword and swinged right through the gate as well as Muron. Tess took the chance and burned him completely into ash. Jin was somewhat shocked to feel the shadow energy that released as it was something different than usual. He wondered if it was the part of the heart sword. Once he realized that he has won against Muron, he took a huge breath of relief and fall down on the ground. In the wand used by the masters of the Zappel family, everyone has a particular function. It's a small character on the top of the wand which sends a wave to activate an emergency signal to their own majestic tower. Muron woke Jin up and put some kind of powder in his mouth. He told Jin that the powder he just swallowed was the horn of a unicorn, which helps in coping up with counterflow of mana. As Jin started interrogating how they got a unicorn horn, the reporter told them that he heard about it when he was Muron's drinking buddy, and Tika found it. The girl formally introduced herself as Lathika Mamutika, and told them that she is acting as a proxy for the priestess. Tika further told Jin that when priestess told him to save them, she didn't mean to literally save them, but to restore their divine relic. Muron suddenly interrupted in between and told them that he is a dragon and has lived for more than 3,000 years, but he hasn't heard of such a strong relic yet. He asked her the name of the god they worship, to which the girl told him that the name is Clam. Kazmir suggested that they should escape quickly after finding the divine relic as they are still in the part of Zappel territory. Tika told them that there's a slight problem, as in order to take the divine relic, they need to restore it. And to restore it, they need to use the sun's energy to open the sealed ground. They also need to perform a ceremony with the tribe member to open it as well. As they were wondering how get the sunlight in the middle of the night, Jin was thinking of something that was missing according to his intuition. He suddenly realized that the signal must have already been sent, and as Muron is a master of Mage Tower, the 7th Mage Tower's army would be on their way to attack them. As Kazmir confirmed about the ruin written on the staff, Jin told everyone that, even though he is not sure, but he has heard about a feature that allows to summon mages beneath their death body. Jin further confessed that he heard this from his sister, Luna, and in reality, it was thanks to the words of his teacher. He informed everyone that there are at least 100 mages in each tower, and most of them are 7 or 8 stars at least. It would really be difficult for them to protect the civilians. When Jin asked Kazmir about how much time they will take to arrive, Kazmir told everyone that the 7th tower is at the northernmost part of the continent, and even if they take teleportation gate, it will take them 2 hours to arrive. Jin suddenly looked at Sir Kazmir and asked him for a favor. Kazmir was not at all in support of what Jin asked him to do, as that person is neutral, and there's a huge chance that they'll get rejected. But Jin was sure that he won't get rejected and asked him to leave as soon as possible. On the other hand, Tika told everyone that they are going to restore the divine relic. Muron was not sure if Kazmir would be able to come on time, but Jin told him that if he uses the teleportation gate, he'll be fine. On the other hand, the Zappel family was on their way, as they reported to the higher officers that the place they are going to go is the Collins historical site, where the natives are currently performing a ceremony, and 2 unknown persons are beside them. The higher officer got really angry as the man reported that he can't see the main master Muron. The wise master told everyone that if something happens to his elder brother, he will make everyone beg for him to kill them. On the other hand, Murakan used his hand as a telescope and reported to Jin that there are 6 dragons and about 30 mages. He told Jin that if things go bad, he'll undo his transfiguration. But then the Zappel's main ports will come. As the dragons came right in front of him, Jin asked Murakan if he knows the dragons. But Murakan apologized, as he told him that they are not fire dragons, but red dragons, which are the lowest ranking species of the fire dragon. The wise master introduced him and asked Jin about Muron. As the man started blurting about Muron, he slowly realized that his brother is dead already. The vice master asked other mages to attack. As they started casting 8th-level magic on them, suddenly all the magic got stopped by ice, and a white lady appeared from a white transportation gate with her daughter. The lady mentioned that she is here because she heard that there is a kid who will be receiving flowers from her daughter. The lady was Thalaris and Dorma, the 51st secret princess. The Zappel forces was completely shocked to see the ice castle master in front of them. The secret princess covered the whole place with ice so that they can talk privately and approach Jin. As Jin introduced himself, the princess was completely shocked to see how Jin was standing, as his outsides were completely messed up, equal to his insides. She asked Jin if she was the one who killed her toy. As Jin was getting a bit anxious, she told him that he does not need to worry, as she was planning to clean him by herself. She asked her daughter to nurse her lover, as she will take care of the outsides. The girl further told Jin that Kazmir gave up his life for him, as he asked her mother to help Jin. The girl was literally shocked to see Jin blurting out black blood and wondered how he was fighting in such a state. As she started curing Jin, the princess went outside to talk with the Zappel army. The wise master told her that he has already asked for the reinforcement, and the main army of the Zappel family will be soon coming. The princess told them that she is going to give them one chance so that they can just leave quietly. But the Zappel mages talked to her very arrogantly, which got her annoyed. As she destroyed the elder of the Zappel family in just one move, the other mages started attacking. The mage tried to hit her with space explosion magic that got bestowed upon him by the Kalairg himself, but Ice Princess didn't get hurt from it. She just told him that he doesn't know anything about the ice castle, and now she will teach him the lesson called Complete Ice. Here's the video ends. Guys, if you like this recap, then like the video. I will meet you in another video. Till then, bye.